It's not even August, it's September 1st. September 1st, and this is a regular meeting of the members of the New York State Liquor Authority. In attendance is Chairman Bradley, Commissioner Kim, General Counsel Flug, CEO Bryan, and myself, Secretary Held. The next meeting dates are set for Wednesday the 9th and Monday the 21st. The first date in October will be the 7th. All meetings are held in our New York City office with video conferencing available at our other office locations. Items will be called in the orders they're signed in. First in Buffalo, then Albany, then here in New York City, unless there's special requests. When your matter has been called, please approach the podium and state your name clearly for the record. There'll be no oral argument on any matter wherein a 500-foot law hearing was held or a full disciplinary hearing was held by a hearing bureau. We do ask as a matter of courtesy, please silence your cell phones. The first item at the request of council is item 2013E, Integrity Wines.
Morning, Leonard Fogelman, attorney for the licensee.
Members, the licensee is a wine wholesaler, and the charges here are representative of sales at unposted prices, extension of credit past 13 days, as well as credit extended to those on the COD list. The offer and compromise from the licensee is a 30-day suspension, a $100,000 civil penalty. We will permit them to price post during the suspension period for the next month because of their cooperation in this matter.
We've also agreed on a payment plan.
That since the, excuse me, since the penalty is $100,000, they would be able to make the payment in 2 payments.
I think we have said a large payment immediately and then 10, 10, and 10 in 3 months.
No, we said 2 payments.
Okay.
Yes.
And still within 30 days, or was there not something else negotiated? Payment to be, what was the time frame?
The first payment within 30 days and the next payment within 60 days.
And which month of suspension is this? September or October?
September.
Whatever the authority tells us, we'll close that.
Well, is the license here today?
This is the licensee.
The license.
No, we do not have the piece of paper.
Will it be brought here today?
It won't be, it could be brought here. I can get it here tomorrow, but it's not in our possession. So I don't think we can.
Well, the license should be at 36th Street, and we're at 125th Street.
Well, presumably you can
You can go there.
the office and get back here and then bring the license in. Yes, the license may be.
Anything else? Jackie, anything else?
Excuse me?
Anything else?
No,
No? Good?
you've been told.
All right. I accept the offer.
I accept the offer as well.
Okay. Now go to Buffalo, 2004, Zevon Tree 7 LLC.
Mr. Melber?
Good morning.
Sorry, I didn't hear it.
Secretary?
2004.
No, I'm sorry, Secretary, it should be 2002.
2002? Okay, thank you.
Yes, it's your, Cavalan?
All right, got it. Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
My name is Brian Melber. I'm here for licensee Richard Cavalan. This is a conditional no contest plea. It was approved earlier this year, and we submitted a request for reconsideration just to ask that the ATAP discount be applied. In our July 23 modification of that request,
Sir, so we've reviewed your paper, and I'm okay with granting the reconsideration.
No, I approve as well.
thank you.
All right, is there anyone else in Buffalo?
Yes, Secretary. Secretary, agenda number 2006, Tilt Entertainment Corp.
Here we go.
Just put your name on the record, please.
Good morning. My name is Attorney Matthew Lazaro. Represent the licensee here. I'm just hearing in support of our conditional no contest plea.
The offer is for 2,000, correct?
That's correct.
I accept.
I accept.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else in Buffalo?
No, there's no one else in Buffalo.
Thank you, Michelle. In Albany, and I believe these people signed in New York, is for 1991 Mixology Group.
Morning.
Good morning, members of the board. Sean May, appearing here today on behalf of West End Liquor and a number of other liquor stores in Amsterdam, New York, in protest to this application.
Which other liquor stores besides West End?
There's Route 30 Wine and Liquor,
Wine and Liquor Depot.
Black Bear Wine and
Yep.
Liquor.
Black Bear Wine and Liquor, and
Wine Barrel.
and the Wine Barrel.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. May, you can go first.
Thank you, Commissioner. We've submitted a letter of protest on August 26, 2015. To sum it up, our protest is based on that this area of Amsterdam cannot support another liquor store. It's not in the public convenience and advantage for the approval of an over 4,000 square foot discount wine and liquor warehouse. As I indicated in my letter, the city of Amsterdam, less than 5.86 square miles, already has 8 package stores within city limits. 4 of those stores have been approved in the last 3 years. As you can see by the gross sales receipts that were submitted by these stores, sales have been flat and on the decline in some cases. The population of Amsterdam has been on the decline, at least 5% in the last 4 years. Population has dropped from 18,620 in 2010 to just over 18,000 in 2014. The 8 existing package stores that are serving the city of Amsterdam are supplying everything that the population needs. They have high-end wines and liquors. They have a variety of New York State wines and liquors. They do tastings. They provide everything that the local populace needs. This new store isn't doing anything that's not already existing in Amsterdam.
Well, he's replacing an old store, correct?
Well, there is a letter from Mohawk saying that they have, they're going to turn in their license if this store has been approved. But Mohawk is a small store. They're not doing a lot of business, and it doesn't justify a 4,000 square foot discount warehouse. It's still going to have a very adverse effect on the local economy. This 4,000 square foot warehouse is not in a walkable area. There's no other retail stuff over there. It's drivable only, and it's not in the public convenience and advantage. The population of Amsterdam can drive to any of these local stores in less than 5 minutes.
But what about, they're on the other side of the river, correct?
They are on the other side of the river. So is 90% of the population and 90% of the retail stores. Everything is on the other side of the river. On the south side, there's really nothing to offer over there.
But that's where they're putting their store. That's my point, right?
That is where they're putting the store. The proposed store is on the south side of the river, yes. In my point, it's not a walkable area. It's drivable only.
Well,
And
you're in Amsterdam. How much of it is walkable?
I think the downtown area is quite walkable. This is on Route 30.
Well, I mean, because you're telling me how much it's going to hurt these other stores, but it seems to me they're going to be outside the city limits on the other side of the river, which would require people to drive there to go to them.
Yes.
So how are they going to hurt your stores who seem to be closer to the population?
Well, on the south side of the river, it's a 4,000 square foot store, Chairman. It's larger than the 3 closest stores combined. It it's not justifiable in this area.
That's not the question I asked you. How is it going to hurt your stores when it seems to be the furthest away from the population area?
Well, I imagine that a 4,000 square foot discount store would try to attract customers from these other stores with their discounted prices.
Can I ask, of the 4,000, what is going to be the retail space, square footage?
In the application, 4,000 square foot is retail and 400 square feet is a loading dock area.
There's also extensive construction going on at that building as well. It looks like they're expanding quite a lot. I don't know what their plans are in the future, if that is going to remain 4,000 square feet or if they plan on expanding even more. But as I said, there have been 4 new stores approved in Amsterdam in the last 3 years. There's at least 2 stores in the area that are on COD. And Mohawk is offering to close. I'm not sure if that's because they've been offered a payment by Mixology, or it's certainly not. It's certainly because their business isn't stellar as well.
And my main issue is actually with the size of the retail space. You know, given that Mohawk has agreed to surrender its license and, you know, for you to open this location up, if you were of similar size, I think that would be very easy. The fact remains that 4,000 square feet with declining sales, 2 new licenses issued within the past 2 years, I just don't know how 2 out of the 4 closest having just been issued in the past 2 years. Just don't know if the numbers show that, and no population increase, actually a decrease, numbers show that it can take on a 4,000 square foot space and add any public convenience or advantage.
If I may, the 2 closest stores, numbers actually are increasing.
Yes. The Riverfront Wine and Liquors actually is on pace to beat their 2014 numbers considerably. Also, the 4th closest store, which would be Clark's Discount Wine and Liquor, has eclipsed from 2011, 2012, 2013, and 2014 numbers with their pace. They're almost $300,000 halfway through the year. They're going to be $500,000 store, so they're increasing in sales.
The other thing I'd like to point out is that this store is on the other side of the river and will be to the public convenience and advantage to all the citizens of Florida, which is the southern area of the general area. And going south, there is no other store for over 10 miles. And dealing with Mr. Wade, he's taken into consideration public convenience and advantage. He's done everything he could to mitigate that, to mitigate impact on the other stores, including having a signed agreement with Mohawk Liquors that they would surrender their license. It would be obviously a condition of approval on this license, that they would surrender their license prior to his receiving approval.
What development's going on in the area where he's trying to open a store? Is that a strip mall or?
Yes, Chairman. We're part of an economic development plan with both Montgomery County and the City of Amsterdam Industrial Development Agencies. We took a dilapidated building that was 24,000 square foot bowling alley, and we refurbished it into commercial retail and warehousing space. And then in addition to that, we've started phase 2, where we broke ground on 12,600 square feet additional retail space for the development of the corridor on 5S, which has been developing, although slowly, over the last 5 to 8 years. We now have a Target distribution facility that has thousands of employees. Beechnut moved from Canajoharie to their baby food plant, which is less than a mile down the road. That they have almost 1,000 employees.
On the south side of the river or north side of the river?
South side of the river on 5S, the same corridor that my proposed location is. The size of the store will allow us to carry a much larger selection of spirits. For example, flavored vodkas is a trend. Most of the stores currently have maybe 10 or 12 flavors. We plan to have over 100. Small batch handcrafted bourbons and whiskeys are a huge trend. None of these stores have any of those offerings at this time, and that's not public inconvenience to go in and say, "Can you order this?" People want to shop. They want to come in. They want to participate. In the letter from the plaintiffs, the protesters' attorney, stated that they're competing with Albany and Schenectady large stores because of price and selection. It's not out of convenience to go to those areas. It's because it's not offered locally, and we plan to bring that to the Amsterdam area. And
I believe so,
just
yeah.
the numbers, the household
Come up by
income in
name.
the town of Florida, which is about 2,600 people, is over $60,000 per home. And that's the demographic that we're going after. The walk-up traffic on the urban areas, that's going to stay on the north side of the river. It's the south side that I care about, and what I'm offering are products and storage. Thank you.
And this, he's gotten support from the mayor of Amsterdam.
Yeah, I see that.
And obviously the community. That petition, how long did it take you to get those signatures? 3 days.
Would you consider reducing your floor size a little bit?
I would consider that would add additional costs of construction and whatnot for the footprint of the developer. We've already kind of put that into place.
Well, I think what he's telling you is the footprint will be irrelevant if you don't.
Members,
Can you give me a number that you would like me to start with as I consider?
Well, I mean, under your business model, I think, what would work, obviously the larger the better, but again, with Mohawk going out at 1,330 square feet, something bigger than that, reasonably bigger than that is, I would be okay with. It's just 4,000 is like adding, relative to what's there and what seems to be servicing the market relatively well currently, 1,800 square feet, 1,300 square feet, 1,200 square feet. Not to say that you need to be the similar size at all. That's not what I'm saying at all. But 4,000 square feet for the south side, where there's little population, but given that there's companies coming in and there can be some advantage to those employees for Beechnut and others, I'm willing to consider, but I'd like to hear you give me a proposal of a number.
well, Commissioner May, can I just interject real quickly?
Sure.
That's okay?
Yes.
My letter did not say that these stores are competing for selection with Albany and Schenectady stores. My letter said that they were competing for price with these discount stores in Albany and Schenectady. The selection that these stores have, Amsterdam is a largely minority population. The biggest product is rum, actually. It's not small batch whiskeys or flavored vodkas. And they have the product that's being asked for in Amsterdam. There have been some new factories coming into Amsterdam, but Amsterdam is still an economically depressed city that high crime rates, high welfare rates, with 23% below poverty level, and there are currently $13 million in delinquent property taxes. This economically depressed city cannot support another liquor store. It's adequately being served by the existing locations.
Okay. Well,
You would be willing to cut it in half, 2,000 square feet is
okay. I'm okay with that. I'll approve based on the conditions of a 2,000 square foot retail space, Mohawk.
And that's what
liquor-
he's saying, it's 2,000 square feet of retail space. It doesn't mean you can't have a 4,000 square foot
Right.
storage,
You
right?
can have rooms to do tasting and office space and whatnot, but, and with Mohawk surrendering their license, given all the statements made today about more companies coming down there, this being the only store on the south side, I'll approve on those conditions.
I'll approve under the same conditions, mostly because of the purchase of the other liquor license. The other stores seem, or not purchase of the other liquor license, but the surrender of the other liquor license from Mohawk The other stores seem to doing okay with sales. This is on the other side of the river and outside the population center of Amsterdam. So it will serve the population that's south of the river, which I think would certainly be an advantage and a convenience to that population. So I'll approve under the conditions that the Commissioner mentioned already.
Good luck.
Commissioner, I have one question. Is Mohawk being compensated to surrender their license?
You can certainly foil that. Whatever we have on that, you'd be able to see, but
Well,
I'm
the
not going to.
financials-
I'm not going to talk about that here.
Okay, thank you.
Having a problem with the mic on the video,
Podium.
Donald, it's very, very low. Jeff is emailing me, can you check to see if,
Right, Jackie?
see if there's something
He can
on the
foil
podium
that and get it,
turn
right?
it up?
Yeah, we'd redact portions of it.
But not the amount.
Probably redact the amount.
Why?
There's no volume down there.
The mic says proprietary or trade secret, but we'd say that there was a sale. We could show that there was a
Okay.
sale.
I'm gonna do a test and I'll see if he can hear you.
It's not on their end, is it?
Anyone hit it? Are all your mics on?
Yeah, mine is on. Mine is definitely on.
Have the one to shut off the podium.
Yours is on.
Yeah, it's on.
This is on too, I think.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Yeah, we'll have to amend the diagram, yeah.
It's on,
All we
okay.
can do.
All right.
And it's not disconnected underneath? Right. That used to happen when people would touch it, it would pull apart.
Oh.
He can't hear you at all.
Don't know.
They'll just have to
Speak
speak up.
loudly.
Yes, please speak very
Okay.
loudly.
Loudly.
2013R, the Continental Room.
Just state your name for the record, please.
Good morning. My name's John Valentino. I'm an attorney representing the Continental Room. I'm here today with the licensee, Mary Sue Hannis, standing to my left, and her husband, who is here for support, Mr. Hannis. We're here today in support of the conditional offer. We're here today in support of the conditional offer proposed by the Office of Counsel. I've already provided a rather lengthy statement for your consideration. I'm happy to give a statement if you would like, and I'm also happy to answer your questions if you have any.
Yeah, Counsel's office will simply state that we appreciate you and your client coming in to speak, knowing that criminal charges are pending.
Okay?
And based on,
If it's helpful to your consideration, of course, I do not represent John Hannis, who has the criminal charge pending against him. I thought you might ask for an update today, so I spoke yesterday with his counsel. For clarity, I'm not a criminal attorney, so I'm not always familiar with how process works in that world, but his criminal attorney did inform me that the district attorney has 6 months within which to decide whether to even indict Mr. Hannis on those charges. It's now been approximately 2 months, and the district attorney has not chosen to indict. The attorney thinks that there is a very good chance the district attorney will choose not to indict and will either dismiss the charges or send them to a lower court for possible consideration as a misdemeanor. And the reason for that is for the very same reasons I supplied to you in the letter that I've given you. That the evidence does not support the allegations that were made by the Onondaga County Sheriff's Department detective who brought that information both to the district attorney's office and to the liquor authority.
So based on the information we have, the statements that were submitted, I I'm in agreement to accept your offer of credit
Thank
for
you.
time served with suspension to end on, I guess, 9/1/15 is today, together with the 10,000 civil penalty.
My only issue with having read, and most of this is coming from your letter, is that, from what I understand, Mr. Hannis was called regarding the videotape in the first week of May. Correct?
Correct.
And that videotape didn't end up in the police hands, and I realize there seems to be a miscommunication with the sheriff's department, but it didn't end up in their hands until May 23rd?
Right, now what was the May date? Do you remember the date? It was something,
There was a holiday and.
So my only issue is because he clearly was aware of what happened here, as far as somebody dying and the accident that occurred and how serious it was. If the police department calls and asks for a video, I would expect that video to show up, I don't care how hard it is, in 24 hours. That, to me, regardless of the miscommunication, is unacceptable.
that's a fair point, and I think, now that John Hannis has had a chance to talk to council and think it through, at the time he thought he was acting responsibly. He did take immediate action within 24 hours to secure that video onto a permanent
I
computer
understand all that, but it needed to be in their hands in 24 hours. I'm going to accept the offer. I'm fine with that. And I realize there was some misunderstandings and lack of communication. But if he needed to go get Microsoft in there to get the video off, he needed to do that. I mean, the fact that it delayed 2 weeks is just ridiculous. So, I'll accept the offer of the suspension and the penalty, but going forward, if anything, any request is made like that, that video needs to be turned over in 24 hours. I'll accept the offer.
Thank you.
All right, is there anyone else in Albany?
No, there's not.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
1990 Nedrow Discount Liquors.
Morning again, Robert
Thanks.
Romano with the licensee, David Kane,
Applicant.
licensee principal, I should say. David Kane.
What happened to Lotan Mitchell? That's one question. Is he still part of this in any way?
When were these nearest stores 2015 sales submitted? Because they're really off compared to all their 2014 numbers.
March.
He filed it in March?
Yeah.
But then they probably didn't return it till like April or May, right?
1 second.
The stores have, what, 10 days?
We give them 10 days to sell.
So if they filed at 3/18,
Was sent out on 3/25.
Okay.
They dated it 3/29, so right around,
so around 4 months worth?
yeah, April.
I would like to point out, if I may, that I spoke to Mr. Kane briefly.
Sales look really
Some of
low.
them were the beginning of
Roughly
April.
2,000 feet of the store would be retail, will be shelving space. So really,
About 2,000 square would be,
shelving. The rest would be storage.
oh, so out of the 5,644, only 2,000 is, okay. Okay.
I mean, if you do a quarter, they're all pretty close.
Yeah, I guess if you do quarter.
It is in a strip, excuse me, it is in a shopping center, strip mall, shopping center. There is nothing within 5 miles to the south. Closest, obviously, is 1.37.
Mr. Romano, so will the rest be just storage, or will there be
He's
tasting
not involved
room,
anymore.
or-
Mostly be storage, just an office in the back.
Okay.
Maybe just like a little lounge area, tastings, just personal stuff.
Okay.
And my other question is, you have, it says you have 18,000 to invest. Are you going to be able to fill this and pay 6 workers in the rent before you get up and going?
Yeah, we have enough for inventory. And, workers is really, a lot of, family and close friends will be working, so I'm paying top dollar.
So you say Mr. Lotan Mitchell is not involved. Initially, when you contemplated working with him, did he ever give you any money to invest?
No.
It was just on, it was anticipated? I mean, you understand our concern with Mr. Mitchell's involvement in any way with this store.
What are you going to provide that the other ones don't provide, the four closest?
I think our location is our biggest strength. Just high-end liquors, I think it's the south of our store.
What's so beneficial about your location? The fact that you're in a strip mall?
Yeah, definitely in the strip mall, and obviously going south of our store. Like I said, there's nothing up to at least 5 miles south of our store.
Okay, you ready? Mm-hmm. Given the representation by you that Mr. Mitchell in no way will be involved, because if he is, then the next time around, we'll just take the license away right away.
And your competitors will come in and tell us.
Yes, believe me. And then based on the fact that it is in a shopping mall, there's no other store south of you for at least 5 miles, I will approve this license.
I'll also approve.
Good luck.
1978, the Black Olive.
Excuse me, Robert Romano again. Submitted a conditional.
So for 2 disorderly premises and failure to supervise, 4,000 is your offer?
They had no previous history.
What have they done to correct the obvious security issue that they have?
I believe they replaced their entire security staff. Top to bottom. And as far as I've been told,
So I have a counter. Without the clean adverse history, it would be closer to 7,500, 8,000. I would counter at 5,000.
I'm actually at 6.
6, 5,500.
If we had a third guy, you might be, or woman, you might be right, but it's only the 2 of us.
with the caveat that my client has to prove that it's not here, I would accept it.
Okay.
Okay, 5,500 with the
It means maybe.
It's just a
counter offer
counteroffer.
5,500.
The counteroffer.
It's our counter offer anyway.
Thank you very much. Enjoy your day.
You too.
1929, NYC Cloud 9.
Yeah, that's good.
Morning, Leonard Fogelman, attorney for the licensee.
As I said at the last board meeting, I don't think the ALJ issued a decision on the question that was before her. Yeah, the ALJ issued a decision about whether DOB legally classifies the building as a house of worship, but not whether the licensee, and specifically Mr. Fogelman, who self-certified the application, knew that there was a house of worship at the location. And the members have never used the standard of a DOB classification as 100% determinative of whether someplace is a house of worship. And again, that's irrelevant to the issue of whether they knew it was there when they filed the application. I'm also told that counsel's office did request an adjournment to have a member of the congregation come and testify, and that adjournment was denied. And I don't see any information regarding that and the reason for the denial in the decision as well.
I did self-certify this application. I did go to Union Turnpike in Fresh Meadows. There was a building under construction. There is no indication whatsoever.
Well, we really can't consider that. I mean, we can only really consider what's in the, and I'm not telling, no one's accusing you of falsely certifying something.
You're going to send this back for?
Yeah, I think we're just going to send it back just for clarification, alternate findings.
I agree.
Okay.
Thank you.
$1996 H&B Liquors.
This one we should call together, right?
Yeah, aren't there two right here?
With 1997 as well. 1996 and 1997.
1997 is Amit Liquors and Wine.
Please speak as loud as you can. We are having difficulty.
Yes, I will.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So 1997.
Are they here?
Amit Liquor and Wine, they filed on April 29th, and H&B Liquors filed on June 10th. And because there's overlapping nearest stores, we'll take Amit Liquor and Wine first. 1997 first. Are you representing 1990?
96.
Okay, so we'll go with 1997 first, please. They filed first. They filed on April 29th. Your client filed on June 10th. So we're going to take the first.
They're all within the same neighborhood.
So you can have a seat right in the front row.
But we're
please.
going to hear from is there protesters here?
Oh, the applicant's
So
not here?
Who's the applicant for Amit Wine? You, sir? It must be him, since he's not standing with you.
What's your name?
Yep, that's him.
All right, so we'll hear from you guys.
First, okay. You,
Good morning. John Springer, representing Liberty Wine and Liquor, New Pet, Punjab Wine and Liquor, Master Wine and Liquor, Copper Liquors, A&R Liquors, and Serva Limited.
And you're here just really to protest the Amit Liquor?
And H&B.
Oh, okay.
And there's also the Avenue that's on today too.
Okay.
Which is overlapping a little bit too.
Okay.
which one is that?
That is Grab and Go. It's 1988, Grab and Go Wine and Liquor. Pretty close too. Our main objection is the saturation in this area. If you consider Rockaway Boulevard, about 2 miles from Woodhaven Boulevard to the Van Wyck Expressway, there's already 1, 2, 3, 4 on or just off of Rockaway Boulevard. If you add Serva to the south a little bit, that's a fifth. Amit Liquor would be 9 blocks from Master Wine and Liquor, and it would be 11 blocks from Poplar. Master Wine just got their license in 2013. Their gross sales last year were under 200,000. Poplar just took over last March of last year. They've only had from the first of this year to May 31st, they had $131,000. So I'd be surprised if they get over 250,000 for the year. The area's history well served. If you look at Liberty Avenue and Van Wyck Expressway and Rockaway Boulevard, it forms a nice triangle. There's 12 licenses already. There are 3, and they're pretty well spread out nicely. There's a couple bunched up here, but this area is well served. There's only 28,000 people in this zip code. The median family income, not individual, the median family income is 27,000. To the west of Amit Liquor is the Aqueduct Racetrack, which takes up a good foot in a school. There's no 200-foot issue with it, but there's a school and an aqueduct which take up a lot of property on the south side of Rockaway Boulevard. Those are the main objections. This area is well served. These stores, I've been to the stores. They have nice stock. They're clean. They seem to be well run. The 2 closest are relatively new, and the distance is just 2 closest. There's enough stores here.
You want to have everyone just put their name on the record quickly, please? and where they're from.
Topper Liquor. My name is Archie Singh.
Thank you.
Astor Van and Liquor Corporation. My name is Naren Gotra.
Thank you.
Swavine Liquor, Belplagaman.
Thank you.
A&R Liquor and Wines, Randy Toast.
Thank you.
Liberty Wine and Liquor, Radical Fox.
Thank you. So we've got 3 that can share. Which one is this one? It's the
That's
H
H&B.
and B.
But this is where,
Yeah, this is the last.
this is where a map's gonna.
Yeah.
They
It's
wanna-
hard to tell based on the map like this.
So, you just heard that the area is saturated. Why do you believe it needs another liquor store?
Then I buy the building, the people ask me about the already they're empty. The store is not be full there, nothing there. So people, too many people, they ask me about the store, why not put the store there, liquor? So that's we are trying to do.
You own the building?
Yeah.
Is that disclosed?
That's a myth.
Hold on,
50 square feet. It's like a puzzle here, trying to figure out the maps. Should we have a big map?
Bring it up on Google and try to put all of them in together.
You want it?
Yeah, I don't mind.
The 3 applicants and stores, I guess.
Are you gonna carry anything that the other ones don't carry? Have you been in the other stores?
No, the people saying me that like that.
Well, I don't care what the people say. Have you been in their stores?
No, we don't have any.
Do you offer parking?
Behind the building, they have the parking, 2-car parking.
2-car?
2-car parking.
Do you use one of those spaces?
No, they are empty right now, is empty.
Where do you park your car?
In the behind the park,
One of the 2 spaces.
they have 2 spaces.
You park one of them, right? So there's 1 space left. Oh, it's not big.
Are you waiting on a map or?
It's gonna take me forever.
Oh,
It's
really?
just-
Okay, forget it then. I guess I'll just have to go. Go, go, go. Okay, so what you're proposing is not a big footprint, but we did issue well, no, I guess the others have already been there. They've been within 0.7 miles. We have 4 stores. 4th store sales are pretty flat. Second one, there seems to be an increase. The third one seems to be an increase, but the other closest one and the second closest one seem to have a decrease in sales. So if you're not offering anything new and different, and you haven't been to the stores to know, and there's only 1 parking space really available, so there's not much in added public convenience and advantage. For those reasons, I vote to deny.
I vote to deny as well. I'm looking at a map, and there's clearly a number of liquor stores. There's 4 liquor stores within, I believe, 0.7 miles of you. All their sales are flat or decreasing, so I'm going to vote to deny as well.
Okay, we're actually gonna, we have a Grab and Go Wine Liquor, which was filed on June 4th, 6 days before your client as well. And since there is an overlap, we're gonna hear them first. Thank you.
That's number,
That's number 1988.
I have two questions for you, Curry.
Okay.
We have two no responses.
Let me see if anything's come in since we sent it to
It's
Secretary.
2012 for both of them. Oh, Liberty Liquors, though? What's the matter with Liberty Liquors?
This one is,
Which one?
the one that's Liberty Liquors.
it's got to be the Liberty Liquors.
She was here, but she's not.
No, she was Liberty Wine and
Liberty
Liquor.
Wine.
I think it's
You're
Liberty.
different, right, from Liberty Liquor? Do you know if Liberty Liquor's closed?
Where is it located?
It is at
12404 Liberty Avenue?
I submitted.
So that's closed, okay. And what about 101 Liquor Store? It's located on 126-12 101st Avenue, in South Richmond Hill? They're open?
We did not receive
All
it.
right, so we'll send enforcement out to go check.
Oh, that's from
And F&J Discount Liquor, how big is that? There's no square footage info. This one's gone.
We didn't answer that, and we should be asking them when they do.
Well, you heard that this, I realize you're not in the same area, but you're pretty close. Why, there seems to be a number of liquor stores there other than the one that just closed. Why do they need another one?
Basically, as far as the other store that you just heard, Rockaway Boulevard and Liberty Avenue merge at Woodhaven Boulevard, which is 98th Street. At 121st Street or 120th Street, they're probably over a mile between Rockaway Boulevard and Liberty Avenue. They go off on quite an angle. So the population being served on Rockaway Boulevard is totally different than the population served on Liberty Avenue. So the two nearest stores to this location are both Bulletproof stores. The closest store states they had $202,000 in sales.
Which one is that?
$202,000.
Oh, which store are you citing?
The store on Lefferts Boulevard, the Eric Jason store.
The third store.
Yeah, the third store. What about F&J? That's the closest.
Is that Bulletproof as well, F&J?
That's Bulletproof as well, yes.
Is your client store Bulletproof?
No, our client is going to be totally open. We intend to offer a full line of wines and spirits. We are in a situation where we've got approximately a little over 1,400 feet of usable sales space, plus a 1,400-foot basement, which obviously is not for selling. But the store, the two closest stores are, as I said, Bulletproof. They are, the display that I saw in each of these stores was minimal. There seemed to be a lot of spaces on the shelves. Apparently, they're not stocking a full line of alcoholic beverages. And we intend to, we have the necessary financing to stock the store properly, and we feel that this basically middle-income neighborhood will have the opportunity to browse, to see what they want to buy, and to pick the items that they are interested in taking home.
So do you know what the square footage of F&J Discount Liquors is? The closest store to you? 125-20 Liberty Avenue. Anybody here know? No?
The store doesn't.
Pages to look through.
It's probably something in the area of
1,300? Thank you.
square feet.
Okay. And how big is your floor space going to be?
Our actual selling area is probably about a little over 1,400 feet. There are cutouts in the building that are not part of our store. So that's about it. We're not a huge discount operation. We just want to serve the community and give them the variety that they're entitled to purchase and consume.
Is A&J's Wines, is that also bulletproof?
The four nearest stores are all.
Four nearest stores. So New Punjab Inc. is, A&J's is not bulletproof? Is New Punjab bulletproof?
Other gross sales letter care.
Those are the two stores.
New Punjab is not?
That's what they're listing.
So the four closest are not bulletproof?
Two closest
I got
on
two out of-
Liberty Avenue,
Right, but that's a big difference. Right.
which is off
That one
Liberty.
doesn't have it, but two
One
different
of
gross
those-
sales.
Why would you
letters.
make a statement like that, that the four closest
Because
are
that's
not?
what I didn't see them personally, the client told me.
Well, why would you say that the four closest are bulletproof?
Did you see, did you go into the other stores?
Yeah, I've been there.
And all four of them are bulletproof?
They're not bulletproof. On 101st Avenue?
Yeah, that's not good.
New Punjab Inc. on 110-20 Liberty Avenue is bulletproof?
No bulletproof.
A&J's Wines, is that bulletproof? 118-07, 101st Avenue? Yes, it is. After you take out Liberty Liquors, it's F&J.
That was the fifth store.
Well, if Liberty Liquors is closed, let me give you my four closest. F&J, Lefferts, A&J's, New Punjab Inc. Those are the four closest.
According to my calculations, and the.
All I want to know is A&J's, okay, is A&J's bulletproof or not? That's all I've been trying to find out. And if you don't know, you don't know, but don't represent that it is.
Yeah, that's bulletproof.
It is bulletproof.
And they say it's not, so, okay, fine.
Can you look that up, Kerry?
Store is doing $1,000,007.
Doing well for bulletproof.
That's on 101st Avenue, which is approximately 3 blocks from Liberty Avenue. 118th Street would be.
It's not showing as bulletproof, no.
No?
Four blocks the other way. That store, based on my calculations and walking distance, was.
It's not bulletproof. A&J's is not bulletproof according to the diagram we have.
Apparently is not.
Okay, so the way I look at it here,
As I said, that store is doing $1,007,000, and
Right.
the store is on 101st Avenue, which is serving a different population, basically. Liberty Avenue, in the area.
all right, so let's talk about Liberty Avenue. The way I see it on the map, basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blocks away, you have your 5 and 6 blocks away respectively. No, 4 and 5 blocks away respectively. You have your two closest stores, which are a block away from each other, and they're all right on Liberty Avenue. Their sales are flat or declining. So I don't think, I agree that possibly there is an added convenience with an open store model, but given that the third closest and the fourth closest are also open, and they're within 0.4 and 5 miles of you, I vote to deny.
Can I say something before?
Sure.
Those two stores are, as far as walking distance, they are substantially further. They're both, one is almost a half a mile, and the other one is just over half a mile walking distance. Because you've got, you can't go in a straight line from one to the other. And the website shows them as.
Well, I have it, you're on Liberty Avenue, you just go 121st what is this, 120, whatever it is, it's right here, 1, 2, 3, 4 blocks straight. You just walk in a straight, on the same side of Liberty Avenue.
Liberty Avenue?
There are 2 on Liberty Avenue. 4 blocks away, you walk on the same side of the street, you have 10355 Lefferts, and then 1 more block away, you have 125-20 Liberty.
The one
I've made my vote.
which is very close to the three. They're reporting 200,000 a year. How can a store do 200,000 a year and be supported, be providing public convenience and advantage?
Well, that could be because there's too many liquor stores. I mean, I just think this area is saturated, so I'm going to vote to deny as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Weiss, thank you for your patience. Good luck.
I'm going to try to distinguish everybody else from us. If that's possible. Hearing all that. Okay. So first of all, Stacy Weiss for the application for a new liquor store at 114-06 Rockaway Boulevard. First of all, it's been represented that the area is oversaturated and that there's no need for a new liquor store. My client is located, as it's been stated, that Aqueduct Racetrack is nearby. Yes, it is. Aqueduct Racetrack also contains World Resorts Casino.
Well, and that's the underlying theme here, I think, is that everyone wants to get a piece of that, but that doesn't really answer the question of whether there are too many liquor stores.
Well, in a way it does. Because nobody mentioned the number of people that pass through the area on a daily basis.
Does your client have parking?
There's a lot of parking right in front. There's a lot of metered parking. He's on a,
That's usually all taken up by
well,
people.
there actually is.
So that answer is no.
Well, he doesn't have special parking, but I don't think a lot of people have special parking, any people in that area. There's a lot of street parking. He's not on a very, I mean, there is a lot of street parking. Let me
Have you
put
looked
that.
at the sales of the other stores, particularly the 4 closest? They're all declining.
Yes, and I have a big problem with that, because let me just give you the numbers before we dismiss everything I'm saying. The number of people that pass through the area on a daily basis, okay? Well, first of all, the population in that zip code has increased by 10% in the past 3 years.
And all the sales are declining.
Do you know that over 107,000 people on a daily basis pass through that?
Right, but what it tells me is they're not buying liquor. And what they're doing is they're going straight to the casinos, they put their bets on, and then usually they lose, and they probably don't have money to go back and buy.
Do you think maybe there's a problem with that? Do you think maybe there's something wrong with that? Do you realize that those stores in that area are not new stores? That those stores have been around since the 90s, early 90s?
So you want us to grant your license because you've got a spanking brand new store?
Well, I think that maybe there's a problem there. That maybe these stores,
Well, do you have evidence of that?
well, I'm not saying I have absolute evidence.
Because the evidence that we have indicates that either these people are just not opening their stores and selling liquor, or the people aren't buying liquor. And my experience, while certainly not as vast as yours, would indicate that when people want liquor, they generally find it.
Well, maybe they are finding it. Maybe
Well, they're not finding it in this neighborhood.
Well, 38, almost 38 million people pass through that neighborhood.
We get that, but they're not, the
and-
sales are going
right.
down.
All the sales are going down. It should be going up a little bit even with
Neighborhood
38 million
has
people.
more per capita income than most of New York.
Okay.
It has a higher density of people.
It also has a high density of liquor stores within 0.8
You're talking, okay. there are
miles.
Liquor stores range from 1,000 feet to 3,300 feet from where my client wants to put his store. My client is not very close to the other liquor stores, okay? So we're talking about a good distance away. From 1,000 feet to over 3,300 feet. One of the stores is not even in the same zip code. 3,300 feet in a different zip code.
This is
So
a
we got
driving
1,000
neighborhood,
feet.
though.
What? Sorry?
But people drive in this neighborhood.
People walk in this neighborhood too, it's a neighborhood.
It's a neighborhood, but when they
There are houses
go,
all around.
yes,
There
but
are
they still
houses,
drive.
there are-
That's why parking's such an issue in this neighborhood. It's
there are
congested.
houses. It's not a big issue, there are houses all over the place, all around my client. There are private houses, there are buildings. I'm telling you, the population has gone up a lot. It is very dense, it's a dense neighborhood, you have people with businesses there. It is a very dense neighborhood. This is not just a pass-through neighborhood either, people live there.
No, it's a completely residential neighborhood, but the problem is that regardless of the fact that you may be correct that the population may have increased since the last census, the sales do not indicate that there's a need for another liquor store. There's no convenience, there's no advantage.
But they're going to introduce different, maybe they're not selling what the
Well,
neighborhood.
maybe isn't good enough. Well, do you know that they're not selling it?
Well, they went to the stores and.
What is it that they're going to sell? Let's be very specific. What is it that they're going to sell that they don't sell?
Well, they would like to introduce a higher end brand.
Which meaning what? Specific, very specific. Maybe we can ask them. Maybe if you're struggling with the question, I mean.
Hi, my name is Fabrizio.
Hi.
Actually, we wanna stock up over there with small batch bourbons. An example, Four Roses small batch, Angel's AV cash strength. Also, we wanna stock up on some single malts that are more than 10 years old. An example, Mascacci 1991. Some wines, some Italian wines.
And you've been to their stores and they don't have any of this?
Well, I've been to a lot of their stores and they have very few choices.
No, but do they have Four Roses? Do they have Angels? What, that you saw. Okay. All right, Mr. Springer, can I just ask quickly? No, just you could stand there and do you sell these?
Yes, we do everything.
Well, not everything. Do you sell Four Roses? Do you sell Angels?
Single malt. Yeah, where we
Well, everyone sells single malts if you're a liquor store, but I'm just specific. Okay. It's with the four closest stores all declining in sales, with the. Right. No, I understand there would be a more modern look to the building, but in terms of product mix, it seems that your closest stores do sell those items.
Say that too, of course they're gonna say that that's what they sell. My clients have been to the stores and they have the typical Johnny Walker Red, Rose.
Well, if they make a false material statement before us and we find that out, then obviously their license will be jeopardized, so hopefully they're not.
Photos of their stores that
Right.
show just rows and rows and rows and rows.
Right,
Vodka,
so,
the usual vodka,
anyway.
the usual Johnny Walker Red. I mean, my clients want to carry the Johnny Walker Blue, the Johnny Walker Black, the higher end.
Consistent with our decision on the other two applications in this neighborhood, I believe there's sufficient number of liquor stores servicing the neighborhood, and there's no added public convenience and advantage for approving this license, therefore I deny.
I deny as well. I mean, I realize that the impetus here is because the casino opened, but that casino has been open, I believe, a year. More.
3 years.
And the sales don't indicate with these other stores who are also very close to this casino that their sales have increased. They haven't increased. In fact, most of them have gone down. So I don't find any public advantage or convenience either, and I deny.
1987, Chen's Discount Wine and Liquors. $19.87.
It was a good year.
I'm sure we don't have a treaty with China.
In McLean Avenue,
Islands Boulevard? Oh, what's that?
20,000, what's up with that
8,000 what?
in sales?
I have no idea. From what I can gather is in West Nipper.
You find that out?
How do we know that? I mean, how can we find that? We
Send something
can't.
out to send-
Just ask them.
I mean, you can't be surviving.
Unless you own it.
Well, that-
Mr. Lynn, do you represent Cornelius and Dominique DeFalco?
And he's actually heading to less than that this year. He looks like he's going to head
Do
to like
any of your
15.
clients know about that store?
It's pretty bad.
I do. Personal consumption.
Okay, can we just hear from the opposition first?
Ask me about, tell me about that. Hard chops, bust them on that, but.
So my first question is, you have spoken with Cornelius and Dominic DeFalco?
I don't know which is which. I spoke to the son.
And what is that place open?
I was going to point this out in my presentation.
Oh, well, go ahead, you can give your presentation.
Just for immediate response, because I'm going to be directing that attention to that. That store is only open, from what I understand from the Sun, Monday through Friday. I don't know exactly when it opens, but it closes at 5 every day. It's not open on the weekends, and it's run by his father. Like I said, I don't know which one is which, but I did speak to him, and I was going to point out, because the sales are so small, that when I direct my attention to the saturation in the area, I was going to point out that this is more or less an accommodation for the area, that it pretty much only accommodates those people from South Beach, because it's apparently very small, and I did not see the store, but he told me that it's within a very small strip of stores where there's a drugstore, so it's local for the very local community.
Okay.
I do represent 2 of the 4 closest stores. JJW Liquor Inc., doing business as South Beach Wines and Liquors at 325 Sand Lane, and SUNY Spirits, doing business as Jimmy's Liquors at 1387 Highland Boulevard. I do have other store owners in the area that are present, so if they could just put their names on the record for you, and we could do that now.
Sure.
Give your name and which store you are. Well, again, you gotta speak up a little bit.
Can you all just move up, please, and line up so that we don't wait?
DD Supreme Liquor, 298 Norton Avenue. 1035.
I'm at 325 Sand Lane, JJW Liquors.
What's the size of your store?
Can you give your name too?
Jeff Chan, square feet, 950 square feet.
950?
Pendleton, 1191 Bay Street.
Yeah, my name is Dave Shin, 1387 Highland Boulevard, James.
In my presentation, I initially started with already 4 Highland Boulevard stores. I had made a mistake. There are actually 5. The one that I had left out was 298 Norton Avenue. I didn't realize after I got off LAMP and when I looked at specifically on the SLA website that it specifically states that it's the corner of Highland Boulevard and Norton Avenue. So I would have my presentation amended that there are actually 5 Highland Boulevard stores in this area as per the SLA LAMP site, and they are 1191 Bay Street, which that one is also known as 83 Highland Boulevard. It's an AKA Highland Boulevard. That's Hugh and Wee Liquor. 1387 Highland Boulevard, which is Jimmy's Liquors. Then comes the one at 298 Norton, which is CLK Liquors, doing business as Supreme Liquors. Then at 2435 Highland Boulevard is Galaxy Liquor Corp. And then at 2626 Highland Boulevard is Reliance Wine and Liquors. In addition to those liquor stores, you do have Cornelius and Dominic DeFalco at 101 McLean Avenue, but as I explained previously, that's just almost like an accommodation store for the neighborhood. It's not open 7 days a week, only 5 days a week, and for limited hours during the day. And J&J Liquor Inc., doing business as South Beach Wines and Liquors at 325 Sand Lane, also services this area. One of the things that's interesting, and I point out that you do have 5 stores on Highland Boulevard. Highland Boulevard runs from the Verrazano Bridge all the way down to on this east side of the west side of, no, the east side of Staten Island, parallel to Highland Boulevard.
These stores go from the Verrazano Bridge down to 3.5 miles is as far as I went with regards to Reliance Wine and Liquors. The sales figures I set forth as Exhibit 2 in my presentation. 3 of the 4 closest stores all show stagnant or decreased sales. I did not include the Dominick store only because I couldn't read the foil that came back, but again, it's really pretty much of a limited store. However, I do have the gentleman here from 298 Norton Avenue, which is the 5th store, and he tells me that his sales have been considerably less in the last couple of years, and he would verify that statement to the authority. So you really do have 4 out of the 5 closest stores as either having stagnant or decreasing sales. I attach as Exhibit 3 population for the zip code 10305, South Beach area, Staten Island, although the census shows an 8% increase in population from 2000 to 2010. The subsequent more current data for 2011 shows a 2% decrease. Before coming here, I did go back onto the website to see if I could get a more current data, and I do have data for 2013. There was a slight increase, just a couple of hundred residents, but there was a difference, but it's still pretty much stagnant. What I'd like to point out, however, is that South Beach and Mid-Island were the 2 hardest hit areas of Staten Island during Hurricane Sandy. President Obama did not go to the Rockaways. He didn't go to Long Beach. He didn't see the sites in New Jersey. He went to Staten Island, and with Staten Island area, this very area that applicant is seeking, South Beach and Mid-Island. And these areas weren't only devastated, but it was a term that I had never heard before. The areas were annihilated, was a term that was used. And these people are willing to give evidence of the fact that they haven't fully recovered. There's still remnants of all the problems that rose with regards to Sandy. And the last thing as to whether the applicant is going to bring anything new to the area, the only thing that I can address is that applicant's trade name is Chen's Discount Wine and Liquor. There are already 2 large discount liquor stores on Highland Boulevard, SUNY Spirits, which is DBA Jimmy's Liquors, and at 1387 Highland, which is 2,100 square feet and 0.7 miles from applicant, and Reliance Wines and Liquors at 2626 Highland Boulevard, which is 6,000 square feet, 6,000 square foot store, approximately 3.5 miles from applicant. In addition, Hugh and Wee Liquor at 1191 Bay Street, also known as 83 Highland Boulevard, is a 2,000 square foot store. Another discount store is not needed in this neighborhood. So based upon the bullet points of proximity, having 5 stores right on Highland Boulevard, sales that are somewhat stagnant or decreasing, a population that has pretty much remained stagnant, and with Hurricane Sandy and all the risk and exposure, I don't think it can be believed that population growth is going to, or new construction is going to come in the area because of the risk involved there. As a matter of fact, there was those 138 homes that were supposed to be bought by the state, and they never were. So you still have houses standing that were never bought, and
Yeah, you can move on from the population argument, because at the end of the day, 8% up, 2% down, and a slight increase is still a 6% increase. But anyway, yeah, you can keep moving on.
Based upon all of these, and again, the question of whether there's a product mix, I would think that with all these people here on Highland Boulevard, you pretty much have a product mix that's covered.
Okay, thank you.
Justin, I forgot to ask, since we're doing the protest now, if one of the clients has something to say that's not repetitious, but just included?
Yeah, if it's not repetitious.
6 miles away. Where they were denied.
Go ahead.
6 6 miles.
Oh, 6 miles. Oh, okay.
Hi, Commissioner. My name is Jeff Chan. I'm the owner of South Beach Wines and Liquors. As you know, I've been hit by Hurricane Sandy 3 years back, and we're still recovering from that. And what Mr. Zing is trying to offer here is some discount wines and liquors that most of us already have. And he's trying to base it on internet sales as well. 2 of the big stores already have internet-based business as well. So I don't think he's going to bring anything to the store, to this area unless it's going to decrease our sales and a little more, as you can see by the data that it was given. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Good morning. Neil Visaki for the applicant, Chen's Discount Wine and Liquors at 930 Highland Boulevard. I'd like to say a bunch of things. For starters, Mr. Lynn gave an excellent presentation, but a lot of the things that was said truly were off a little bit, and they really don't have any merit at this point in time. The first thing he spoke about was 5 stores on Highland Boulevard. Chairman, do you have my submission to that?
Yeah.
So would you kindly turn to Exhibit F, because that was kind of the way that I was able to basically, one sheet of paper, lay out some of our major things. So first, let's talk about the first 4 closest stores, according to my records, the liquor authorities. Mr. Lynn spoke about Aricot Discount Wine and Liquors, 101 McLean Avenue. Of course, that's a small store. They noted on this less sales. That was 500 square feet. When in fact, I went by many times, tried to open the door. The door was locked. There was a sign on the front door, go see them next door. And the store is probably not more than 150 square feet. Also, when I went to visit them several months ago, when I just took on this application, there was virtually no inventory in there. And coincidentally, several weeks ago, it was all spruced up. It looked kind of nice. But the fact is, you probably can't fit more than 3 people standing in the place. There's a desk. So that particular store, I don't think really serves at all the Highland Boulevard corridor. The reason why I talk about the Highland Boulevard corridor, according to a report by the MTA, the Highland Boulevard is one of the most major transportation corridors on Staten Island. And as a matter of fact, it's also the most important corridor for bus service in the borough, with over 32,000 riders per day going up and down Highland Boulevard. I also want to mention that Mr. Lynn, okay, so Sandy happened in 2012, September 2012, and for the last 2.5 years, in my practice, I stayed away any liquor stores who wanted to go on Highland Boulevard. The simple fact of the matter is that I wanted to give people an opportunity to rebuild their business. And I thought that it was just such a hot potato that up at the Liquor Authority, there's so many facts to be brought into this discussion about Sandy that, really didn't apply. And, this particular case at hand, my practice is on Staten Island. I lived on Staten Island for 40 years. Presently, I'm in Jersey. But I know the road's pretty much cold. And I'll tell you, on Highland Boulevard, from the stretch on my Exhibit F from Newdorp Lane, traveling towards the Verrazano Bridge, the entrance of the expressway, virtually each and every block is commercial activity. You'd be hard-pressed to find a vacant storefront. I saw a few for rent. But basically in my travels, many times from that distance on Newdorp Lane up to Highland Boulevard, it was just bustling with commercial, pedestrians. Also, aside from the commercial activity, the side streets are all residential. So that's a very, very heavily populated area. Not only, tens of thousands of vehicles on a daily basis heading each way on Highland Boulevard, but you also have the homes on the side, which who knows how many thousands of residents live there. So getting back to another store on Highland Boulevard that Mr. Lynn spoke about was 1191 Bay Street, which is also known as Highland Boulevard. I want to tell you that, number one, that is well on the other side of the Staten Island Expressway, and it doesn't even continue. Where Highland Boulevard continues from our side onto the expressway, it does not even continue on that side. It's very much off to the west, several thousand feet. It's in a totally different area. By no means does that at all help out any of the people for the public convenience and advantage, whether they're traveling in a vehicle or they live in the area on Highland Boulevard. So 1191 Bay Street, I don't really think has any play in this in granting this license or not granting this license. And then the other 2 stores were 325 Sand Lane. That in fact is a valid store. It's a 900 square foot store. Like Mr. Lynn had mentioned earlier, that's like a segregated community. That's like a South Beach community, and you know, I'm very confident saying that to use that store, to go to that store, patronize that store, most probably you live in that South Beach area. It's kind of off the beaten path. It's by car, it's well over, a little over a half a mile away. It's really not at all have anything to do with traffic flow going up and down Highland Boulevard, the tens of thousands of vehicles on a daily basis. So that's the Sand Lane one. And so let's get to to my third, which is the fourth, SUNY Spirits on Highland Boulevard. If you're on Highland Boulevard, my client's store located at 930 Highland Boulevard. Other than the proposed store, there's one store that is basically between Newdorp Lane and the Staten Island Expressway entranceway. And that is, hold on please, and that is on the side that my client is going to get the store, and that's 298 Norton Avenue. Now, 298 Norton Avenue in and of itself is 7,700 feet away from my proposed client. Additionally, to the expressway where you would travel down Highland Boulevard, past my client's store and get right onto the ramp heading towards the Verrazano Bridge, that's 2.4 miles. So from that store, the distance is absolutely tremendous. And going back to Newdorp Lane, that's another major route on Staten Island. If anybody traveling up or down Newdorp Lane, going towards the Staten Island Expressway, you have a store, 298 Norton Avenue, I grant you, which is you know, not too far off of Newdorp Lane. Now, I will tell you that's in a shopping center with my best estimates, 14 parking spots. They share a business. They share the strip mall with 5 other businesses. And I will tell you that one of those businesses is a child's, you know, you rent it for your children's, for birthday parties, et cetera, et cetera. And every time I've been there, when my child is of the age that I go to birthday parties, it's impossible to park in that little parking lot. Like I said, there's 14 spots. It's always jam-packed.
So aside from this agreement to rent 12 parking spaces from 920 Highland Avenue, what parking spaces do they have?
Plenty of off-street parking, yes. In front, adjacent to.
But no other dedicated parking.
No, the 12 spots just to the side. So basically, you know, if you're in a vehicle, and as we know, there's, you know, many thousands of. I mean, Highland Boulevard. Look, by all accounts, Staten Island, number one. I mean, I didn't want to bombard my. You know, my memo up here with, you know, how Staten Island is growing and the projects. I mean, I could have just, it's limitless. But, and I will say that, let me just mention one thing, please. Citing a 2014 census report about the Staten Island population, I know Mr. Lin went into what's increasing 2%, 5%, or whatever it is. I don't really get too specific. I'm never all about very specific things. I'm about basically, you know, facts and try and portray the reality of, if you're in the area, how that's going to benefit the community at large. So I have a Professor John Peters. He's an economist and transportation expert at CSI. He just cited in the 2014 census report there are approximately 473,279 people on Staten Island right now. And he says it's going to be between 600 and 620,000 by 2030, a 25% increase. And he believes that 60% of these people will be getting into cars. So, but by all measures, Staten Island is really growing. There's no infrastructure, there's no trains, people rely on the buses, the roads are jam-packed, that's why everybody I know kind of leaves Staten Island. And my proposal is that, you know, there's no saturation. There's clearly no oversaturation whatsoever. So if you're in a vehicle on my client's side, so if you pass 298 Norton Avenue, which is one of the protesters here, it's very inconvenient to get into that shopping center. So then from that gentleman's store to my client's store, you have 1.7 miles. And then it's to get to the expressway, it's 2.4 miles.
How many lanes is Highland Boulevard?
Mostly 2. In some spots it's 3.
So 1 or 2 2?
There's 2 and 2, 2 and 2 minimally. So this is critical because another store on Highland Boulevard. Well, let me just backtrack, okay? One of the protesters here has a store on the other side of Newdorp Lane, which probably is well over 3 miles away. I mean, Mr. Lin likes to come up here and talk about 5 locations on Highland Boulevard, when, you know, 3 or 4 of them don't even really matter. Just because it's a Highland Boulevard address or a zip code, I'll meticulously go one by one and say how they really don't service or help out anybody traveling on Highland Boulevard towards the Verrazano Bridge. And, you know, my client's location is actually a perfect spot because there is parking, the tremendous distances, you know, everybody's traveling, that's a main road to get on the Verrazano Bridge. And more specifically, I want to talk about the 1387 Highland Boulevard because In my papers, that is the one that is, it's on Highland Boulevard. The distance is also tremendous. It's almost 3/4 of a mile down. But
But everybody, I mean, you keep talking about how enormous these distances are. Yeah, but we're not talking about a walking road.
I'm gonna get
I mean, everybody's driving.
Absolutely. I'm gonna
So
get to
you're
that. So when you-
3/4 of a mile is 2 minutes.
I will get to that. So when you're in your vehicle traveling on Highland Boulevard towards my client, the traffic light right before 1387 Highland Boulevard, you cannot factually make a left or a U-turn. It's Reed Avenue. I have that as Exhibit B, a photograph. So even though you could glance to the left, and you could see that there is in fact a small strip mall with a liquor store, you cannot make a left to gain access to that. So then when you continue to go through that light and you stay on Highland Boulevard, at the next traffic light, which is quite the distance, it's actually maybe a few hundred feet past that strip mall, it's Old Town Road. You can make a left, putting you on Old Town Road, but you certainly cannot make a U-turn. So, in my estimation, there's on Highland Boulevard from the furthest store, which is 298 Norton Avenue, there are no liquor stores that you could remotely conveniently, get to heading towards the expressway. It's just.
All right, well,
So
what are the internet sales they're talking about? You mentioned that they plan on doing internet sales.
I mentioned eventually they're going to learn how to do internet. So at this point in time, yeah, they don't have really too much odds. They want to get the business up and running. Additionally, they also want to emphasize Asian wine.
So let me ask you about that. 1,200 square feet, 500 is for storage, so their selling space is going to be 700 square feet. Of that, they're proposing 20% of it is going to be Asian wines?
Yeah, they're proposing, half spirits, half wine, and because there certainly is a growing Asian community in Staten Island, they want to focus on that, and 20% of their.
What are Asian wines? Which Asian wines are they referring to? Can you, they can speak. Please, tell me the names of some. Well, just because they're Asian doesn't mean they know Asian wines. I don't know Asian wines.
But not only that, but this, in some.
Well, can I just have her answer the question? Because it says it says stock at least 20% Asian wines of their total available wine. I want to learn. What are some Asian wines?
Someday.
The English is not that good. This is
Okay.
a younger brother who
Right.
basically he's not an applicant, but.
Can he translate?
Interpret?
Can you translate?
I think I got the Asian wine, the complete. The name is like Diamond Wine.
Okay, so it's one wine.
And I think like kind of like a famous Asian wine like Maltai.
Oh, so you're not talking about Maltai is not a wine, right? It's a liquor. So you're just saying 20% of your inventory will be Asian focused, but it won't be just necessarily wines. See, I told you there weren't that many Asian wines. Right?
I didn't doubt you.
No, I know. I'm just kidding. Anyway. So okay, so that answers my question. Anyway, thank you.
I know that I keep emphasizing the great distances, but you talk about the public convenience and advantage. There's just nowhere to go if you're on Highland Boulevard in your vehicles. So forget about the walk, even though we know it's all residential, from New Road Lane up to the bridge, it's highly dense and residential. In your vehicles traveling, there's just nowhere to go.
What's the, is this property in a strip mall? What is it, standalone?
It's a freestanding building, yeah.
Yeah, who owns 920 Highland? Somebody they know, or the father? Okay, because the quick handwritten agreement to rent the 12 spaces.
That's from the landlord.
Yeah, but that's ridiculous because it says the landlord can cancel it at any time. So it's not much of a assurance here.
That's what I have, but there certainly is plenty of on-time parking, off-site parking right in front. You have one of my exhibits showed. As a matter of fact, if you go to Exhibit 1, the diagram from Landon Simon shows about that's all on-street parking right in front, residential right across. So I looked at the sales. The sales all look pretty steady, pretty consistent. There's I don't know about people rebuilding their business, but Highland Boulevard is flourishing more so now than ever. It's jam-packed. You would never know that anything ever happened. That dreaded storm, you would never know. And I just think it's a place that'll really serve the public. It's just like being there. The physical location will really serve the public.
It's a tough one.
You know, and just be there for the public's use. It's just not going to go to any of these.
All right, well, so basically the argument about the Asian wines, I don't buy at all because that's not what was stated here. But the fact that, let me finish, the fact that it's 1,200 square feet and it's only 700 square feet of selling space and the location of the venue does lend to some argument of public convenience advantage based on your presentation. The closest on Highland is 7,000, over 7,000 feet away.
And there's one other, may I interrupt?
I'm sorry, on the same side of the street, it's
Well, there's
7,000.
another one that's probably, you know, on the other side of Noodles Lane. I mean, you know,
Am I right on that?
What I did specifically is I added in my presentation, two of the next closest stores on Highland Boulevard. And I did that purposefully because, number one, I knew Mr. Lin was on the job, and number two, it's only fair because I knew Highland Boulevard was gonna pop up, and I wanted to show a distinction as to big deal they're on Highland Boulevard. They're not
But I
helping
do see declining sales on the two out of the three closest. And the smallest one, the DeFalco, let's just put that aside because it's not doing much business at all.
The sales that I looked at, you know, I spoke to somebody who's been in the business over 15 years, and, you know, he told me point blank that, you know, from November 1st to New Year's, that accounts for him and probably a lot of business.
I get it. I'm looking over the past 4 years, though, right?
I apologize for interrupting, but since we're throwing the small one out, Norton Avenue is the fifth. He's here, and he was telling me for 20 minutes how bad sales have been.
Everybody's gonna talk about declining sales. If I was in the store, I wouldn't want anybody to know.
Yeah, but we're in a forum that happens to be important.
I know it's important, but, you know, I'm looking at these sales, and they're up to May. I mean, how do you judge a full year's worth of sales when people put in up to like May 18th? You don't take into consideration the summer, people going to the beach, people going to beach parties, people going.
Well, we're not looking at just this year, we're looking over 4 years, so.
Well, they look consistent, the things that I got.
We're
from,
looking over
Ford.
4 years. You know, there has been a population increase in this area. But then both of you pointed out it is a big bus community too, so it's not that people are necessarily driving around. I mean, they are driving, obviously, but there's also a big bus.
You cannot move on Highland Boulevard. When it's traffic time on Highland Boulevard, you're on Highland Boulevard, I'm telling you right now, it's backed up for miles.
Second
You
page, I
cannot
should
move on
have
Highland
looked
Boulevard. I mean, that is a fact.
Can I have one of my clients
So
address
that's
that?
just 9, 10, and 11, but she says that's in hurricane.
That's 9, 10, 11. Where's the other stuff?
That she said she was down.
Okay, go ahead, yeah.
This wasn't for this application.
Oh.
She wasn't one of the four
All right, you
closest.
could have one who wants to speak.
Speak up and speak.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Supreme Vicar, Vince 298 Norton Avenue. It's my opinion, last year 3 stores closed. One New Dorp Lane, Richmond Avenue, and Highland Boulevard.
3 stores closed?
3 closed, out of it.
Which one? Where on Highland?
On Highland, New Dorp, it's a half mile after my store.
Towards the Staten Island Expressway or the other way?
No, it's
The other way.
west side on Highland, west side. And across Richmond Road, across my store, it's 1 mile east side. And third stop, Green Dragon, and maybe 3 miles on Highland too. This area, 10305, it's very depressed area, man. After hurricane, people, many people move. Right now, maybe it's new, owned, it's people don't buy liquor. It's not bus area, and these people go to car. This area, it's neighbor area, only neighbor area. It's right now very depressed.
Thank you. So, Mr. Vysotsky, when I look at this map over here, exhibit, what is it, F? E?
Yes, F.
E, F, F. And it shows that there's thousands of residential homes here, and if they come off the expressway, they go home, and then they want to buy liquor, they kind of
Not
come down.
necessarily, but
Well,
they-
let's just say, they kind of come down, and they've got not just SUNY, but they've got Galaxy here if they don't like what they're offering here, And then the way the roads are, it seems just as it's probably hard making that left turn over here to SUNY, it's probably coming this way hard, just as hard to go here, but anybody else who's coming from over here kind of has the Naughton Avenue. So for me, I mean, you know, it's not a black and white case, but based on what I'm seeing is that, and the way, the nature of these roads, I just think that what's going on, yeah, I'll let you talk after I just finish my train of thought, otherwise I'll never get this out. Just getting, it seems as if there's servicing of the community on both directions at this kind of entryway into the Staten Island Expressway. And then given the population decrease, I mean, not the population, but the sales decrease of 2 of the 3 closest stores, to me, it just seems to say that there is, you know, enough liquor stores in that area. So go ahead.
Okay, it's, maybe it's not so apparent, okay? The right across from my client, there happens to be that gigantic cluster of homes, but I'm basically, Highland Boulevard from Newdorp Lane to the bridge is, not, like I said, not only jam-packed commercial, it's all residential, so that my whole sheet should be clustered with residential.
I see what you're saying, but then right, but then Newdorp and Highland liquor store closed, even though there's a cluster.
I don't know anything. I really don't know anything about that. Okay, but I will tell you that. Listen, when Chairman,
I know a lot about
with all due respect, when I take on this, I got in my car many times, and I drove down Newdorp Lane, or I got to Newdorp Lane, and I said to myself, let me travel down Highland Boulevard. I want to buy a bottle of vodka. And I went, and I saw Norton Avenue, okay? It was there. It's a very small sign. If you notice, if you're lucky enough to notice it, and you're lucky enough to pull into the parking lot and get a spot.
But if you live in the neighborhood, you would know, as you say. Right?
Once you pass there, to want to get a bottle of alcohol or wine or anything, I'm now continuing on my ride, and I'm driving for a tremendous distance. And I glance to the left, and I see that there's a store. I can't get to it because I can't make the left at Reed. I can't make a U-turn. Then I say, you know what, maybe I could whip up to the next traffic light and whip a U-turn. Not advisable, but you can't make a U-turn there either. So then there's nowhere to go. There's nowhere to go. And Highland Boulevard is just, if we could do a road trip one day, it's a horror show.
We're not doing road trips.
From 6 in the morning to 10:30, it's jam-packed. And if you're on Highland Boulevard anytime after 3 o'clock, you know, you're doomed. So to me, I know it's very difficult to kind of feel it and smell it, but when you're there driving and you want to get liquor, there's just nowhere to go. The distances are just simply tremendous. And that's what this case is all about. It's about the tremendous distances, not having any other choices, with really no section. And the Sandy thing, I'll be quite frank with you, you know, it just doesn't, at this point in time, it doesn't have a place in these discussions anymore. It really doesn't. You know,
Can I interrupt you, Mr.?
Yes.
CLK, you said is closed?
No.
Oh, which one were you saying was
Which
closed?
was the one on Newdorp and Highland you said closed?
On Newdorp.
What's the name of the,
I'm not
what's it called?
Grapevine?
Vine or wine? V? Victor? W-I-N. Grape wine. Newdorp. Grape wine.
Can I mention one thing? You know, if you're at Newdorp Lane, and you know the area you want to go shopping, if you go right across to the other side of my diagram, there's a massive shopping center, and Mr. Patel has a gigantic store in there. But that, maybe Mr. Patel's store was giving that small store a problem. But that thing is miles and miles away from my.
Oh, you're talking about Galaxy? Who has Galaxy?
What's yours,
No,
Mr. Patel?
not even Galaxy. It's on, no,
It's on the other side.
It's on the other side, and it's on my
What's
client's
Mr.
side.
Patel's
It's in a
store?
shopping center.
What?
Reliance Wine and Liquor.
He's not, he's on the other side. He's not, yeah.
He's not even on this map.
That's
No.
miles and miles and miles away.
Right, so
I don't even think
I'm
that's
not
a
even,
place.
no, I'm not, I'm just looking at the closest stores based on this diagram.
The reason why I took Newdorp Lane is because Newdorp Lane is like 3.6 miles away. I mean, how
I'm ready.
How far down Highland Boulevard
All right,
can
well,
you go?
okay, so.
One client to speak for the last one.
Yes, and then we're
We've
gonna,
given him
that's
3
the
or
end
4
then.
chances, but go ahead, here, please.
Like I said, he's on a freestanding building, and it's inconvenient for him to come to his place. I have a Key Food, and he has a Met Food by Jimmy's. So most people who are shopping are going to the supermarket after work, and shop there and come across to our stores. As well, he said that he can't make a U-turn on Highland Boulevard. You can just make a right turn and make a U-turn on the light and go back around. So it's not that very inconvenient for him to do that. He's just exaggerating by saying that it's all the way down to.
You mean you make a right turn, go around the block, and just go cross? That's what you're talking about.
Either go across, or you could make a right turn to a side street and make a U-turn and go back up to Victory.
Well, no, he's saying that that's inconvenient. I understand his argument, and I understand yours as well, but I think we got a good picture here.
Okay, I think we got it. So,
Yeah, and then most people are just
look, this is
Very practical. The store, the location of the store is more than practical, and it's easy. You're not fighting traffic, you're not in a jam shopping center.
You have no parking there.
all right. That's enough. Okay, that's it. All right, that's it. So we got a really good picture, and we may do a tour someday, but
No.
not with maybe you, but we will do a tour. I'll do a tour. You know, it's a tough call. I mean, the area has, and not to belabor the Hurricane Sandy issue, but the population has been increasing. I think that from the way I look at the diagram and not having the experience of living here in the area, and based on all the testimony and the statements, I do believe that as of now, that there is sufficient number of liquor stores servicing the community. I think that it might change in a couple of years' time, and maybe this location might pan out to be the place that is suitable for the next licensee in this particular area. So based on that, I vote to deny.
I actually I would have approved because I do believe your argument based on the fact of the convenience. I think it is inconvenient to ask people to start trying to do U-turns on the other side. I think the Cornelius and Dominic DeFalco store, which is extremely close to yours, the fact that they're only open during the week and during the day, I just discounted them. And I know everyone talked about Hurricane Sandy, but I'm looking at these sales, and while the sales did go down during that period of time, they did not go down significantly, and everyone seems to be pretty steady. So I would have voted to approve just based on the convenience, because it is on the other side of the road from the SUNY Spirits, and it is a half a mile away from that store, but unfortunately it is denied.
You didn't try to change.
I'm not going to try to change it.
No, we used to do that. We used to
I'll try to.
disagree when we disagree, because when there's two of us, sometimes we do try to go back and forth. And
No, because I think your argument, I couldn't argue against your argument.
I just want to make sure before I hit the deny button.
Yeah, no.
2001 Executive Billiards.
Good morning. Good morning, members of the authority. Bruno Joffrey for Executive Billiards. This is a request for
I'm granting. Are
reconsideration.
you okay? We're okay with this. It's granted.
Yeah, I approve as well.
Is there discipline there?
It'll go
Yeah,
back
it's
to
a-
council's
It's going back to
office.
council, yeah. Granted.
There's a what?
Licensing one later that I don't.
Oh, okay. But yeah, that's fine. We're granting, it goes back to council's office.
Thank you. Have a good day.
1972 Nyack Enterprise.
Morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Kim, Donald Bernstein on behalf of the licensee. This is a disciplinary matter that went to hearing. There were two charges. The second was held not sustained. The first was, and we have submitted a memorandum of law controverting the charge. The premises is a Lucky Strike bowling alley up.
We're familiar, I think, with the facts of it. I mean, my question is, what did they do? What have they done to correct their obvious security problem, or are they going to stop having private events, one or the other?
Well,
Because this clearly was not a family event.
It was not a family event. It was an event that was over 21 and over only. They did have a DJ. I think the important point is that they've been operating for 8 years, and they have never had an issue before. They have had DJs before. They have had over 21 events before. So there was no reason that lead them to reasonably believe that there would be an issue here.
But I think, are you saying they had events after 11 p.m., normal close time, special events with a DJ in the past?
This was open to the public. The only
Well, I mean, special event meaning outside their family-centered activities from until 11 p.m.
It wasn't a bowling tournament.
I don't think it was a tournament, but people there were there to bowl.
No, that's fine. So my question is, when you know this whole argument about they couldn't foresee that something like this would happen. My whole point is, if they have had other after 11 p.m. DJ centered parties for over 21 crowd, and they'd been doing it for 8 years, and then something like this happened, then maybe you can argue that. But even so, I think just because nothing's happened for 8 years doesn't really relieve them of the foreseeable responsibility and obligation when you are throwing a party for over 21 after 11 p.m. with a DJ, which creates somewhat of a more of a nightclub type atmosphere. Whether people are dancing or not, that's a different story. But I think then in those circumstances, I think it is very reasonable to foresee that you would need at least one security guard there.
Well, first of all, to answer your question, they have done this before. The testimony, undisputed testimony at the hearing, is that they have had evenings with DJs,
right,
with 21 and over crowd.
Right.
They have not ever had a problem in the 8 years of operating, no prior history.
Right. But do you see what I'm saying, though? But you see that how that environment already, even if 1,000 times they did it and nothing happened, you still would think, I think a reasonable person would think that after 11 p.m., over 21, DJ, alcohol, something could happen.
Well, here's my answer to that. The issue here is whether or not they suffered or permitted the premises to become disorderly. I think when you have no history, when you've done this previously without an issue, when there was nothing to indicate that there would be a problem, what happened here, remember, is one patron just shoved another. Out of the blue, spontaneous, totally unforeseen, everything was fine. I think if I was to come back here in 6 months with another disorderly, I think your point would be well taken that, well, it happened once, you're now on notice. If you haven't changed anything, now you are suffering and permitted.
Well, see, I would disagree with you, simply on the fact that if you turn your bowling alley into a nightclub, which is what I see happened here, and regardless of whether you've done that 100 times in the past, that as Commissioner Kim said, it's reasonable to think that something's going to happen. You have a bunch of people, all of whom I'm guessing, or 90% were under 30, between 21 and 30. You're after your closing time. Those people were there to drink and listen to music, and much like a nightclub. And I don't know too many nightclubs that have come in front of us that had no security.
I understand what you're saying, Mr. Chairman. I don't think it turned into a nightclub. People were there bowling. The testimony was there. People were bowling. They were finishing bowling.
They have a dance floor?
No, this does not have a cabaret. There was no dancing. None of that was occurring.
But Mr. Bernstein, I'm sorry to interrupt. You're also ignoring everything that your client failed to do after there was a push.
Well, I was going to get to that as well. Well, they didn't attempt to break the fight up. One of your managers apparently was outside the mall. He wasn't even anywhere near the premises.
I think he went outside. I don't remember actually. The first point is, and this is an interesting point, but they didn't try to break up the fight. I think that would have been a terrible mistake. If you have, first of all, they were escorting the people out, and the people who were involved in pushing one another were slowly working their way out towards the front door. They were succeeding in containing it. They called the mall security. They arrived within minutes. The police arrived within minutes. Mall security was inside. One police officer was inside.
Well, and you make a big point that the police, that the ALJ is incorrect and that the police weren't there in 20 minutes. They were there much faster. What's your estimation of when they were there?
Well, the mall security, the evidence was...
The security doesn't count.
And it took less than 10, the answer is less than 10.
And the fight was still going on, correct? From all the evidence that you heard at the hearing.
They were on their way, they were being moved slowly out the front door. The first police officer arrived as the group was beginning to exit, and it took them 10 minutes to get them outside.
And it appears to be conflicted about whether your client actually called the police or not.
I think it was conflicted. There's no question we called mall security, that they arrived, and either my client or mall security, we called the police who were there.
And you think that's enough? Just call mall security if a fight breaks out, which this wasn't a fight, it's an actual melee.
And there was only one mall security on duty, it seemed, right? Because there was only one person who responded.
I can't answer how many people were on duty in the mall that evening. I don't know. You know, there are a number of clubs within the mall.
It's a massive mall.
I'm sorry?
It's a massive mall.
Yeah, I can't imagine that there was only one mall.
Well, after 11 p.m., though, there's not much else. I mean, there's probably others on the parking lot and whatnot, but...
There are a number of venues that are open late. There's, I think, a comedy club, a theater. There are other restaurants that are open late. There are a number of venues within the mall that are open.
So, back to my original question, what have they done security-wise going forward?
I have discussed with them that if they have a DJ night, that they should consider hiring security. I've not followed up with them to see if they've done that. They don't do this regularly. They've done it a number of times in the past. This is not a regular Friday night or Saturday night event. I do think they acted properly. I do want to respond to the question about why didn't they try to break up the fight. I think that would have been a very big mistake. I think if you have some people...
Well, it doesn't look like to me they did anything. It sounds like they called mall security and said, let them deal with it. Well, what was the guy doing out of the building?
I don't recall anyone testifying that they were in the building.
The police testified that they met the assistant manager outside the mall, not outside the bowling alley, outside the mall.
I don't think that's correct.
Well, do you want me to read it to you?
I think it says that he was on the first floor opposite end of the mall from the licensed premises. He wasn't outside.
All right, I'm
Maybe
sorry. So I'm sorry.
He's still on the other end of the mall.
I don't remember. There were 3 managers on duty that night.
And one was not in the premises when the police got there.
If that's what the record says, I don't...
That's what it says about Assistant Manager Matthew Chin. Left the scene apparently during the midst of the turmoil. In fact, when the first police officer arrived to the scene, Chin was on the first floor opposite end of the mall from the LP.
I don't... If you're reading from the ALJ's decision?
Yes. Findings of fact, yeah.
I don't recall that. I'm not saying it's not true. I don't think that that's material. There were 2 managers.
Well, see, that to me is material. The business is clearly in a crisis situation. A guy who is supposed to be supervising along with the other 2 managers decides that it's appropriate to leave the mall, and you want us to believe that they weren't permitting or suffering. And I don't find that to be trying to do anything to quell the situation.
This happened instantaneously.
So was he not there when the fight started? Is that what you're saying?
I really don't recall anything about that 3rd manager one way or the other. I interviewed all of the managers. We had 2 of them come testify. 2 of them were standing there right when the incident occurs. They immediately shut off the music. They raised the lights. They tried the best they can by coming around these people and trying to shoo them out by using their voices to ask everybody to get out. And they succeeded in doing that without anyone being physically hurt. The only damage was someone kicked the door and broke the glass on the way out of Patron. I think they handled it very, very well.
And I don't. So,
Yeah, I'm ready to impose a fine.
And I'm not saying that the bigger problem I have is having a night like this and thinking that security is not necessary. And they got lucky before as far as I'm concerned. So that's my bigger issue here.
I think then what you're saying is that any time a premises has a DJ in over 21, by law they must have security.
I'm not saying by law. I'm saying that a reasonable person would think that someone should be available to handle a situation if it gets out of hand. Your bowling alley turned into a party, and they intended it to turn into a party. And they didn't do anything to protect the people that were coming to be at the party.
Maybe I wouldn't go as far as what you just stated as a necessity, but if you have a popular DJ who's going to attract a very large crowd and have alcohol after 11 p.m. in an enclosed space, I think it is almost, if not a necessity, to have security.
I think that leads to the conclusion that if you have a DJ, you are assuming the premises are likely to become disorderly.
No. If you assume that there's going to be a very large crowd, whether it's because of the DJ or not, in this case, it was a very popular DJ. They expected a very large crowd. So if you know that there's going to be a large crowd, however they get there, and there's alcohol, and it's after 11 p.m., then I would think that security is
that's the thing that I think is being ignored here. This bowling alley closes at 11 every night. This night, it's open till 1:45.
Chairman, just for the record, the hours listed with us are 2 a.m.
But they don't stay,
regular.
right.
I get it.
Yeah, but they don't stay. No, they didn't violate the law staying open, but they did stay open.
Weekends, they do stay open till 2 a.m.
That's not what they're.
Well, I'm just reading the findings of fact. but-
So,
Can't see what was
anyway,
on
I dismiss charge 2 on the marijuana charge as the ALJ has not sustained that charge. On charge 1, I have, because of their history, I'll do 2,500. Because of their good past
I'll agree with that.
history.
2,500. I had it higher, but I compromised. I see I compromised.
2013 K, Mergit Road. Mr. Palillo.
Oh, Mr. Jones called him out.
Okay. Right.
Hi, you want to just put your name on the record?
Mr. Palillo was here.
Yeah, there
Yep.
it is.
Oh, you have your attorney here? You can put your name on the record in the meanwhile.
Okay, thank you.
You're the licensee?
Thanks.
Good afternoon, my name is Frank Palillo, and I apologize, I was hijacked by Mr. Jones in the back of the room.
All right, well, your offer is for 3,000?
I accept.
I accept. Thanks.
2013 J, Torres Wine and Liquors.
There was a transfer
Are you Miss
filed,
Marina Torres?
and then it took a year.
Are
to-
you Miss Marina Torres?
If there were charges pending.
Welcome. Thank you for coming.
Where you been? Where have you been?
Well, I spoke to your brother and on August 10th, and he said that you were in the Dominican Republic.
Not at all.
Well, first he told me he never heard of you. First he told me he never heard of you. Then when I told him I was with the State Liquor Authority, he said that you were in the Dominican Republic and that you have given him some sort of power of attorney to run the whole entire business.
Maybe when the first person who answered the phone was my brother.
He told me he was your brother.
My mother lives another, like 10 minutes away from the store. My mother has Alzheimer's. I have to be with my mother, and I could prove that whenever it's a type of emergency, I have to run all the time. I'm there, whenever somebody call me for an emergency, I gotta be there, and I could prove it.
So May
that's not what I
May
was
9,
saying.
2015, were you in the Dominican Republic? Have you been to the Dominican Republic this year? No. All of this year? You haven't been back for 5 years?
So is your phone number 347-600-7359?
My phone number?
Yes.
917-370-1923. Yes.
Is this your signature on this conditional no contest plea with this phone number?
What was the date? Wait, 3,000.
Is that your signature?
I signed whenever was the payment.
Well,
Whenever I send the payment. and the plea-
This isn't the payment. I'm asking you if this is your signature right here, and who wrote this phone number, where the man who answers it says he's your
No,
brother.
This is my brother's phone number.
So why would you sign this and then put your brother's name on this? Or did you even sign this?
I did sign whatever paper. Maybe. Yes.
Not whatever paper. Did you sign this paper?
Yes, I did.
And you then wrote that your phone number was your brother's phone number?
Phone number.
Well, that's the 24.
Okay. Can you go back there? Why would you write your brother's phone number? Can you go back to the podium?
Okay. No, the store number. Do you call the store number?
I called.
What is the store number?
It's 602-2063.
That's not the
not the
store
number.
number. The number that's on this paper is 347-600-7359. Whose number is that?
That's my brother.
Cell phone.
Yeah, we have cell phone. We don't have at the present time, we don't have.
Who's the gentleman next to you? Can you put your name on the record, please?
My name is David Portlock. Their attorney was unable to come. I do accounting and tax work.
Okay, so why would you tell it just to say it's the store number?
That's the number that I was called. The answer is that's the store number.
Well, who's the person who answers it when you call?
Fernando.
So did you ever think that might be his cell phone? No?
I was told that was the contact number.
Okay, but it's not the store number. Anyway, when you come here, we just would like to get truthful answers or what you know to be truthful instead of advising your client here just to say something, just to get over the question. That's all.
That's the number that I always, that's the
At the
number that I
present time, that's the number we have. The other one is inactive.
Are you ever in the store?
I
Well, she called the store, and you weren't there. Our investigator went to the store, and you weren't there.
No, I wasn't there.
And who is your brother?
My brother is Fernando.
He says you're in the Dominican Republic.
And he said you went into the Dominican Republic.
I don't know, maybe he got nervous or something, but I wasn't in the Dominican Republic. I was with my mother. Maybe he think it's something, I don't know.
And then he told me on August 10th that you were in the Dominican Republic.
No, I was with my mother. You could find out.
He also told me that he runs the store.
He rent,
He runs the store.
he runs the door with me. He working all the time.
He said that you gave him a power of attorney to run the store.
Power of attorney to him.
Why?
Whenever something happen, in case something happen, because one time I had some problem, medical problem, I gave a power of attorney to sign something. We have a thing all the time.
And
My mother is Alzheimer's. She's sick, and whenever something happen, I go and I stay with my mother.
And your corporation was dissolved
I'm not worried about the
That's-
sign.
in 1996.
I don't
Also,
believe
we
what
have
you're
to
saying.
sell the store because we have a lot of family issues, you know?
Well, apparently, if your brother thinks you're in the Dominican Republic and you're down the block, you apparently have some communication issues.
I wasn't in the Dominican Republic. There is an immigration way to find out,
Not
and there is a ticket, airline, and everything.
What
I
ab-
wasn't in the Dominican
Well, you can go down that line. Go
Republic.
ahead.
My mother.
So let me ask, so,
I could give you my mother's address. I could
okay.
give you my
All right, we're
mother's
just, Torres Wines and Liquors, Inc. It's been dissolved since January 10, 1996. Maybe your accountant can speak to that.
Yeah, that's, I was retained about a year ago when this came to light. I've been in touch many times with the Department of State as well as the Department of Taxation and Finance, attempting to get a reinstatement, but there's sales tax liabilities that have to be satisfied.
How much? You realize if there's no corporation, there's no liquor license. Because it doesn't, if the corporation is the licensee. So if that's not in existence, then,
Well, I'm just responding to his.
okay, no, I understand.
No, we understand. You're 100% owner of Torres Wine and Liquor?
It's a family business.
No, I know, but who owns the shares? No, but who owns the shares of the company?
Everybody in the family.
Everybody. How many people do you have in your family?
We have 5 brothers.
And you. So 6 of you all are owners of the
We
company.
did it for my
Right.
my mother.
All right.
So
You understand the problem, though? The company is the one with the license, not you or your brothers. And the company doesn't exist since 1996.
But there is something
I mean, as
happening
far as-
with the
do we have to
Department
shut
of
it?
State. And we,
No, nothing happened with Department of State. You owe $320,000.
it's not a correct amount. That's why he's facing it.
Okay, so what would be the correct amount in your
I don't have a number.
approximately?
We know the original number.
Well, approximately, so how much would it be?
We are about to solve this problem.
How much would it be, sir?
$70,000.
Fine, so $70,000. Except this hasn't been resolved, and since
It's about to
30, it's been 20 years. 20 years you've been running this liquor store for 20 years without a license.
without license. You already have.
Well,
license.
you have a license, but
But the business was
it's
closed for some time.
fraudulently having a license.
The business was closed for some time, and the.
Business was closed when?
Where's a weird of that? We are paying, we are open like a 2 or 3
No,
days.
you sure, when was the store closed? What do you mean it was closed for a period of time? No, like what, a month, 2 months, a year? What are you talking about?
I don't have the date, but I could bring everything. We have everything in file.
Do you have a lawyer?
Yes, we do.
You
Who is
really
it?
should be here.
His name's Bert Levine.
Mr. Byrne, And the reason why is because he never got anything back from
I
the shop.
spoke to Mr. Levine. He said he represented you on the sale to minor case. He knew nothing about this case. They are trying to sell the store that we did not approve the transfer application. I mean, my recommendation is to cancel this license.
So we had approved it, they were granted conditional approval, then they requested an extension to meet the conditions, and then they withdrew it because they couldn't meet the conditions.
Which were what? Fix the corporation?
It was a new corporation, Z&C Liquors. The conditions were.
So who are the owners of Z and C Liquors? Is that your brothers?
Yeah?
Z and C?
No.
I'll tell you who that is.
What?
Principals of Z&C
No.
was Zong Zing.
Are you tried to sell the liquor store
We tried to sell the liquor store.
in April?
We're waiting for the result of the estate in order to sell it.
What estate?
The State Department?
It said the
Oh.
applicant is requesting that the above, this was the one that was withdrawn,
It's already being,
be withdrawn at this time as the seller has been unable to give us clear title to the
Oh,
business.
clear title, because.
Which
they
is
owe
the tax liens.
$320,000.
And they're not going to get 300 for it.
Well, the accountant's saying 70,000 is what's.
Oh, it's 70,000 sales tax?
That's in his opinion.
320, that way.
You're trying to do an offer and compromise, or?
You'll probably end up at 160, 170 or somewhere, 150.
70,000. Actually, we were.
All right, well, I'm not, I mean,
Yeah, this is
I can either give them a week or cancel it.
weak to do what? Oh, to resolve.
Bring the attorney in and resolve it.
we close
Result
out
the
and be
state
able to
tax.
pay the
The
state.
state tax and the corporation.
Yeah, all right, that sounds good.
All right,
So the 9th, the next board meeting?
We're gonna pay everything.
I know, but can you do it in a week?
No, because he's the one who have that, he's in contact with the state.
I understand that, but you don't have a liquor license right now.
I need another 3 months on the.
Okay, then forget that. All right, then go ahead.
You know, this is kind of unusual that the company was dissolved so long ago and that we haven't had this before us till now. Given all the circumstances, we have no choice but to impose a cancel and bond penalty on this.
I agree that the corporation was apparently dissolved in 1996, and the corporation is the licensee, which means that basically they've been licensed illegally since 1996. The non-bona fide and the books and records, well, what is this? Can we do this? It's an offer.
It's not an
It's a
offer,
no
it's a
contest.
Oh, it's a no contest. Okay, yeah, so it's a
mean,
cancel and
and
bond.
it's an availing issue.
So I sustain the 2 charges, and it's a cancel and bond.
What does that mean?
It means that,
Receive an order of cancellation in the mail.
She'll need to
With a
cease and
date.
desist.
And you had talked about before, a 10-day extension or something, have her attorney come in. and
She
see if
can,
we find something
she can
else.
request reconsideration if she should be able to get the corporation reinstated, but that'll be up to the members
Or
as to
apply
whether
for
or
a
not they
new
want.
license.
and I can tell you, being one of the members, that if the answer's, we need 3 months to straighten it out, that's not going to happen. So,
If you say 10 days, I think we'd consider that, but if you say 3 months, there's no way.
Why don't you speak with the
Well,
person
yeah,
in the
I
state?
guess I'd say give me 10 days then. and
no, I mean, the lawyer can ask for consideration, and during that, reconsideration, and during that, he can certainly give me a proposal of what he's asking me to reconsider, and within that should be how this is going to get worked out. But we can't let her go back and continue selling alcohol without a license, which is what she's been doing for 20 years. So we're going to she'll get a notice in the mail. And then he has, how long, 10 days?
Yeah,
No, They will have the date of the cancellation on the order.
No, and to ask for reconsideration.
they have 30 days.
30 days, so.
30 days?
Yeah.
For your
So
attorney
No,
to
it's-
ask.
No, when you get the cancellation, the license is canceled, you have to stop selling.
We have to close, I know, I understand, but can we be able, if we resolve the problem with the state, so we could come back here and we.
Can apply for a new
You
license.
have to go talk to your attorney about that. He'll tell you what your options are. Okay? Yeah, you probably should give it to her.
Notice of appearance.
Yep. Thank you. 2013H, Amityville Wine and Spirits.
Oh, this is the one. What was it again? 13H. I don't know. They're terrible.
counsel.
Board Chairman, Commissioner, and the entire board, my name is Michael Riley. Beside me, I have the sole shareholder, sole director of the applicant.
Say that name again?
Would you like it spelled?
No, that's all right.
Okay, and beside her,
I'm the board from Ludmila Nikolaishuk. My name is Alexander.
first off to the board, I'd like to thank it for adjourning the August 19th full board hearing. I did not receive the FOIL documents back from the FOIL request that I made. Also, I was actually engaged in another court proceeding. I've submitted to the board my supplemental statement of facts, also how I believe that it would lend to the public convenience and advantage. And rather than restate everything that's in there, I ask that the board, I'm sure it has fully read everything.
Yes, we have.
Yes, and one second, is there anyone in opposition to this? No? Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Just
were
for,
here They were here on the
last-
19th.
yeah,
That's correct. I did look at the video archives, and there was someone that did dispute. I've stated her name, she was from Red Game, and in paragraph 6 with the attachments, I stated why her allegations that it's not in the convenience and public advantage just falls far short.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but you have two people standing with you, and there's only one applicant, so
correct.
why are there two?
Because they both speak 3 languages okay, he speaks 4 languages fluently, she speaks 3. English is not phenomenal.
That's fine.
That was also stated in my statement to the board. Where the applicant is a very, very, very large Polish-Ukrainian community. It just second to Riverhead. That would service the actual public that the store is located in. I've submitted to the board documentation on that as well. I've submitted that although Amityville has not been increasing in population, the two neighboring towns are, and that they're both predominantly Polish-Ukrainian. They're going to offer things and stock that the others do not have. They're going to offer, and I'd like them to state it rather than come through their attorney.
I will sell duty green wine, Cahors and Francesca, the vodka is Hortic and Mirov, the champagne Sovietskaya, the Polish Dubovo, and they have a lot more.
And none of the other stores, you've been to every other store?
Yes,
How many stores did you go to?
everyone.
Everyone, meaning the ones that you closest? And none of them sell any Polish wine or spirits?
Sobieski's in almost every liquor store all over the state.
One store sometimes have
One store has what? What do they have?
the wine Cahors.
Cahors?
Sobieski's
Sobieski?
inexpensive and in every liquor store across the state.
Right, but she had said that there was others that she is going to stock, which would serve the public convenience and advantage, because again, it's a very, very large Polish Slavic community. In fact, one of the biggest banks there is that bank. I've submitted that as well to the board. Also, the sales, the gross sales receipts, you can see that they're not going down. They're pretty they're pretty much where they should be. Additionally, the person that came here and voiced an objection only showed 5 months of sales. I submitted to the board the census statement where they state what roughly liquor stores earned throughout the years. That is an exhibit that I put forth.
Which one are you saying only put 5 months of sales
The
forward?
person that was here last time, it would be Game.
Well, we have 4 years of
No,
sales.
I'm saying for this year alone.
Oh, right, but we base it on the 4 years.
No, I understand that.
Other one we just licensed.
She's also,
Okay, go ahead.
of course, thank you. She's also located a half a mile away, not on the same avenue or street as the applicant. In fact,
The applicant is located on Broadway. Broadway runs straight. The other four closest are not on the same avenue, not on the same street. And if you're looking at the map that I've submitted, if I may.
Sure. Yeah, we have the map, yep. I'm looking at it right now.
The applicant is right in the middle. The others are completely on the four corners where they would service that particular part of the community.
Actually, it's not, according to the diagram, being in the middle, I don't think is favorable to your argument. Because everybody who kind of is in the middle can they're close to one or two or three of the different existing licensees.
But if you look there, it goes 0.5 of a mile, then the next one is 0.7, 0.8, and then 0.9.
It's a driving community, correct?
People are saying this about Long Island. It's also a traveling community. I've submitted statistics on that as well. The public transportation I've submitted as also another exhibit. It's not 100%, it's not 90%. The per capita, they actually have a statistic, how many autos are in a household. And it's not that there's one per household. I've submitted that as well. I've submitted here as well that why people drink during the holidays, how sales escalate for the 2015 year. So again, the only objecting to this, the only person who against this was Red Gammon. Her sales, I see, have gone up, except for the first year because she was not in business, she couldn't stay there. And her argument to the board was...
Well, no, her argument was her sales went down, and between 2013, where she had 440, and 2014, which was the full year, she had 370,000. So there was a significant drop. Both of those years included the holidays.
But also she stated, and that's what I heard on the video, was that the close proximity to her store. She did not say anything about sales. She said that this area cannot have another liquor store in close proximity.
Well, that's what she's talking about, because it's going to affect her sales as well as, that's what her complaint was. I don't, it is what it is.
I believe that she doesn't offer anything that my client would offer. Again, servicing the Polish Slavic community. She never stated that. That is a very large community there, and I've showed as an exhibit as well. She is going to be targeting those specific people. Those people that came from another country, they only speak that language, and only she would be offering that service.
How many square feet is her store going to be?
1,300 total.
All retail 1,300, or just the whole?
950 is retail.
Actually, could you put your name on the record? Have you done that yet? You did? I'm sorry. Okay, thank you. So does she have any experience in the liquor industry at all?
No, but she was in the service industry before, and...
What service industry? Like
house cleaning and whatnot. Our fiance, we're thinking in the future, is gonna come on board, and obviously won't get any license. He's, why don't you stay with your background as well?
Yeah.
Come to the mic, please.
I'm gonna talk about. So the basic place where we live is a huge Ukrainian.
No, what's your background?
Oh, my background. I'm Ukrainian here working.
A professional background, your work background.
Spirits industry.
Working on the Eastern Long Island with the programming of machinery.
Okay. So do you have any experience with liquor or hospitality?
I do a lot of investigation for my girlfriend. I help her a lot with it, and
Okay.
a lot of researches.
Girlfriend or fiance?
We
lived together for 5
Okay.
years. And they've also lived in a community, this exact community, for 8 years. And my statements were based upon their statements to me of the Polish and Slavic community, also my research on the internet, which again was provided. They're gonna be servicing things that are not serviced by any of the 4 closest liquor stores.
You keep saying that, but the stuff that she raised are popular brands that are in other liquor stores.
No, I don't believe all of them.
Well, what was the? No, maybe not.
Sobieski is, I mean, cheap Polish vodka is in every store.
Just have her say it slowly on the record. Come up, please. Say it loudly and slowly.
The wine Francesca, Cahors, the vodka Fortica, Nemiro, the Polish vodka is Sobieska.
But Savieska, she's saying, is everywhere or in many places. Do you agree? Okay.
have more than one. And they bring champagne with Sovietskaya.
Okay. I mean,
There are a lot more.
all right. So I'm ready. You ready?
Yeah.
All right.
Any other questions that the board needs to ask?
No, I think we're ready to roll.
Also, again, the population has gone up in the two neighboring towns.
Yeah, I think, the geographic location of this, right in the middle of 4 liquor stores, and the closest one having decreased sales, I just don't see a need for another store at this current time.
The closest sale, are you saying, is Dragonfly?
What was
Chablis, he's talking Red Gamay.
Chablis, which is Red Gamay. Chablis Inc., which is Red Gamay.
We have Dragonfly going up.
Yeah, we have Dragonfly going up, and we have the other
I mean,
one.
he's talking about Red Gamay, Chablis.
I'm just talking about Red Gamay, the closest one. And I think, having neither of the people you brought today have any experience whatsoever, which isn't a requirement, but in a very crowded market, sometimes a person's past experience in this industry will help them distinguish themselves from the other licensees that are already existing. So based on that, I vote to deny.
And, I agree with Commissioner Kim. Most of my agreement comes from the fact that apparently there was a liquor store there before, American Best Wine at the exact location, and that shut in 2013, and I'm still looking at the sales from Red Gamay, and even after that store shut, her sales went down.
But the other 3 have gone up.
Well, that could be, but my point is that I don't know that another store in that area is necessary or needed. I mean, it's about public convenience and advantage, and I just don't see it if her store is not, the sales would be going up if there was a need for it, and I just don't see it.
Can I add to that,
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman? The reason for removal from the prior licensee was that the sales were dismal, and if the store didn't relocate, the principal stood to lose their life savings, which are wholly invested into the current location.
So it's just indicative to me that there's not a need for another sale in that neighborhood. I'm not saying she's a bad applicant. And I understand she's looking to start her own business and can, I commend her for that, but I think this is just the wrong spot.
Again, in 13, Dragonfly went up.
No, I'm not arguing with you, but it just means that then they're driving a further distance. But, she was in here and she knew what she was doing as far as the liquor business goes. She did come in and speak to us, and
So on that date, if the board would remember, the filing of this was in March. The board approved prior to the objecting coming in, and the board asked, why didn't you object during the other one when you approved? This was filed early. I understand there are overlapping areas, but if that was the case, then...
well, she was, and she said it wasn't that close to her. So I mean, it's just the area. That's my only issue with it. So I deny as well.
And you mentioned distinguishing the product, and I think Exhibit J, I believe this is your exhibit, about Kopiag's Little Poland.
Yep.
And it talks about 1700 Great Neck Road, which is where this Great Neck Wine and Liquors Corp is. In the article, it says, Anna and Michael Krabal offer the familiar Polish vodka Belvedere, but also brands that include Sobieski, Luxu Soa, and Zubrowska, and honey liquor called Old Krupnik. I think there's some of them were mentioned by your client as well, but it seems like there is, that's the address that's the second closest, 1 mile away. They do provide the Polish offerings that were going to help distinguish your store, so.
This is not anywhere close to the applicant. These are not one of the...
1700 Great Neck Road. I don't know, it has here across the street at Krabal Liquor, 1700 Great Neck Road. It's the article you attached from the Long Island Press, Exhibit J. And then I'm looking at the second closest store, Great Neck Wine and Liquors Corp., and the address is 1700 Great Neck Road, Kopiag, New York. So maybe it's, but it's I have it as the second one.
Second one.
proximity report from the SLA as it is the 5th.
That is just a guide. We use Google driving directions to check our own. We don't even use that. That's just a guide to give you an idea what's around.
I did that as well, and also provided the map. with-
I Google driving directions myself, so.
Point is that that product is being offered. So,
Not just the product.
I know.
the speaking.
I know. I understand, but,
So it's denied, sorry.
thank you.
1999, it's a request for declaratory ruling for a location at 307 West 47th Street.
Good afternoon, Chairman, Commissioner. My name is Mike Palutis. I'm an attorney. I'm here today on behalf of Dutch Fred's, Inc. Our members of this item in possession of my papers.
Yes.
What number are we on?
1999.
99, no wonder. Yes, go ahead.
I don't want to belabor the points that are raised in my papers.
Yeah, no, I think we get the point. It was well put out there. So the general issue here is that you want us to recognize that this has been continuously licensed since prior to the 500-foot law. Now, you're aware that a prior licensee in applying for a license submitted their application as if the building was encompassed by the 500-foot rule.
I am aware of that, sir, yes.
And why should we not take that into account?
So if I understand correctly, you're suggesting that applicant's failure to raise the so-called grandfathering provision acted as a waiver.
Or an oversight, but in effect waived, yes.
And so in response to that, I would submit that a waiver, in the normal circumstances, is something that is knowing. And the party waiving whatever right it is knowingly relinquishing their right to assert that right.
I mean, to me, that's the only issue. I don't have a problem saying that this has been licensed entirely. I realize there's a gap of 6 months, but my understanding is there was no tenant there for those 6 months.
Chairman, can I
Yeah.
further elaborate? The application, the licensee that's there now, BMJ Corp., they actually filed their application in December of '02, so they would have entered into a lease and applied before the last license was surrendered in July of '02.
Okay.
No.
So there is not even a gap.
No, it's after.
So there's essentially a 5-month gap. Right, but there was no one in there in that period of time.
There was not, and
No, I don't have an issue with that, finding it that it was continuous. My question is the,
when was the lease?
and I
My,
if the previous applicant had known and was aware of the fact that the premises had been licensed for such a long period of time, I can't speak for all attorneys, but I think most of the attorneys here who do this type of work frequently would have asserted the right and not subjected their client to a 500-foot rule hearing. It's, and under these circumstances, I don't see how that applicant could knowingly involuntarily.
or
whether it was
you're saying it would
knowingly
be
or not,
malpractice?
I submitted a full-
You don't have to answer it.
I did ask for the records, and they have been purged, is my understanding.
I don't think it's an issue of whether somebody knowingly or not waived. That doesn't change the legal fact that the place has been continuously. It's not whether a past licensee asserted that it was grandfathered. The question to the members is, has this place been continuously licensed? And I believe under our standards it has. I think it's irrelevant
Okay.
whether there was a 500-foot.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it was less than 5 months, 4.5 months, and there was nobody else in between. And I think the fact that a tenant failed to go in and know the history of the venue doesn't obliterate the grandfathering provision. So I will approve the grandfathering provision for the.
I'll approve it as well. I mean, and as counsel so aptly pointed out to me, there's nothing in the statute that permits a waiver of this. So I find that it was continuously licensed, and it's, so therefore is grandfathered in and is not, the 500-foot rule does not apply.
Welcome.
2013G, Carl Liquor Store.
Oh, more liquor stores.
This is a carryover. It's all the letters sent after.
Yeah. Yeah, sure, if there's opposition. we'll hear from them
Well, actually, I believe.
No, we already heard everybody on this.
Yeah.
This was held over.
We'd let them come
Oh,
back.
sorry.
I do believe that, yeah, this was at the request of the applicant to show some public advantage. I would like to rebut what they say, but I would turn this over to them at this point.
Okay. All right, so the last time you were here, you were not aware, apparently, that there was all this protest, so you wanted an opportunity to respond to it, and there obviously is strong protest to your store going here. As I'm sure you're aware by now, there's 6 stores within less than a mile of your location. That's correct, right?
But they within 3,000 feet.
Within 3, so within less than 3/4 of a mile. So why does your store add to public advantage or convenience?
Hi, my name is Genesis Pineda. I'm the daughter of the applicant. We were just aware of the S&I wine and liquor with their opposition, so that's what I had came.
Oh, that's all right. I mean, they're all opposition is all the same. It's basically that this area is already very well served by their stores. So what are you bringing to the table that they're not doing already?
Okay, well, on the actual street that we would be located on, which is on Carroll, there's new construction going on. Our location would be a new location, and to the left of us, there is a brand new mini market, and there's also a new laundromat going right at the end of the street. So it seems like that specific neighborhood, they're trying to revive itself and bring new businesses. So we just want the opportunity to bring a new business to that specific neighborhood. And in terms of the S&I, wine and liquor, we're not on the same street as them. They're on South Broadway. We are on Carroll. And I did visit their store because I know last time we came, we had no idea that they were opposing us. We hadn't visited their location. We did take a visit there, and their inventory is just stacked up to the wall. It's very dark in there. The lottery machine wasn't working. The person that was working there wasn't very welcoming. So we just want an opportunity to maybe provide a better service for the neighborhood. We have the business experience from owning other types of businesses.
What kind of
In the
businesses?
area, we currently own one grocery store. We're in the process of opening another grocery store and an agency. And I also have a marketing background. I graduated communications and business. And we meet the requirements legally.
Oh, and we, your parents, we told them before, they're very good applicants. We don't have an issue with them. It's the location. There are a lot of stores very close by. And those stores' sales have been going down.
Which one? The closest one is S&I, right?
Yes. And that you can see that their sales have, in 2011, they were 460,000, and in 2014, they were 335,000. So they've gone down significantly, and that's been pretty steady.
But I think it's about the service too.
Well, that could be, but all the other stores nearby are also going down. So they're not all bad service.
The other store, I visit that one.
What happened with Pures? Did we get anything on that?
This is a new store. They're a new location because they're actually located on the street where we are opening our new deli. And we originally wanted to put a liquor store there, but we were denied because obviously we were too close to them. And I know that they recently just opened in maybe the end of 2014, beginning of 2015.
2014.
Yeah, so the other liquor stores, I'm not sure. I know just about S&I. and that they're the closest one to us, but I also know that their condition and their service,
Yeah, no.
it wasn't great when I visited.
And it's a huge community. It's
Yeah, no, I'm familiar with the community.
multi-family.
Our focus wouldn't be South Broadway or to take away from, I'm not here to take away from them or to.
No, but that's the effect, is what their argument is.
Yeah, but that's not the effect that we want to have. We want to focus on Bruce, which is up the street, Carroll, the Bronx, which is, we are located on the very first street of Yonkers. So, you know, the opposite of that would be the Bronx.
Yep.
just want to hand up these photos of my clients.
Well, do you represent LT Liquor Store?
No, I only represent SNI here today,
And-
principal of that.
And who are you with?
I'm with Ken Zhang and John.
Oh,
Springer.
okay.
John Springer, just as a courtesy, because he handled this on the last board.
Okay. Okay. So you represent who?
Just SNI.
Okay.
The closest store, 980 feet away, is
Right.
directly around the corner. They do say it's on a different street, but their street, and I've attached in my memorandum exhibits, is immediately off South Broadway. So it will be visible from South Broadway. You know,
It's not visible from that.
Excuse me, let them talk and then you can respond later. Just take notes.
I've attached photos of the location, so you can make your own finding of fact as to that. But it is immediately off South Broadway, and Carroll is a very desolate street. So I would think that any traffic would be coming from South Broadway. I would submit there's not much development there. I submitted census figures, which are estimates because they're more recent. And from 2007 to 2013, in both the zip code where this is located and the immediately adjoining zip code, poverty level is actually increasing. I think Yonkers is famous for saying there's going to be gentrification and it not coming through. I mean, there's literally a TV series now about problems of development in Yonkers over the last 20 years. There is no new development here. You know, as far as they're only aware of my clients' sales going down, and they say that that's because of the dirty store. We submit that as because of Pure's, which is the second closest store that opened in 2014, and that's affected not only my client, but then the third closest store, CYI Spirits. So all of the three stores of the nearest four that submitted figures, except Pure's because it's too recent, have extremely decreasing sales. We're talking 27% for my client, and El Terry, the fourth closest store, 32% decrease. And as far as a new store in this area, I've submitted diagrams. There's no population to draw from. They're literally one block north of an 1,100-acre park. And then there's 10 blocks to a college and the river, 5 blocks in the other direction, Sawmill Parkway. I've attached a diagram about in each direction around their proposed location is a liquor store. There's just not enough customers to draw from. It would
Okay.
be absolutely disastrous to my client, and it's just, I don't see that they, you know, have indicated that they're offering anything different than the existing stores.
Okay, thank you. Well, it's the liquor store. I don't know, when were they taken?
Last week.
Last week.
We went the day that we left here. We went immediately.
Well, I mean, I think it describes, your description is very similar to what the pictures look like. I'm not denying that.
In terms of anything different that we would offer, we would want to incorporate our backgrounds and, you know, showcase liquors that come from my dad's country, which is the Dominican Republic. My mom is from Puerto Rico. Maybe she'll mix some stuff, how to mix the liquors with what kind of juices or mixology sort of thing. Stuff like that. Not focus on whatever wine and wine tasting and all of that. Everyone does that.
I mean, just to respond here to Mario Pineda, that's your dad, right? Mr. Pineda, you sent the email to us.
Yes.
Friday or something. Yeah, just so you know, it says more than double the amount of distance required to be legally eligible for the liquor license. There is no distance requirement, just so you know.
No, we thought it was 500.
Now, 500-foot rule is when somebody tries to get a full liquor license for a restaurant or bar, and if there's 3 or more in that area, then that applies. But for liquor licenses, legally, you could be right next door to each other if there was a public convenience and advantage. Just so you know that. You know, that being said, we said it last time too, that your parents would be, you know, being business owners, being from the neighborhood, be great licensees. It's just that the location here just doesn't seem to call for another liquor store at this time. We are waiting for Pure's numbers because they didn't respond to our inquiry for 2015.
Right when they opened, they had an incident. They were closed.
Oh, really? Would they have a fire or something? Or?
Yes, a truck went into the location.
Let's see what we can do.
Yeah. So they were closed.
I
Right
see.
when they opened, they closed.
I see.
Approximately, right.
And you know, that's our concern, is that they were issued in June of 2013, the license, and they probably opened in 2014, well, they had to open right away, but the sales that we have is from 2014, and with them, a full year of business this year, it would have been very helpful to see how the numbers reflect on the other stores closest to them. And so until, for me, I get to see what Pure's numbers does in terms of demonstrating that there's maybe a saturation at this area. At this time, I have to vote to deny.
Here's this driving distance from us, correct? Is there-
It's 0.7 miles. It is. Probably in your neighborhood, it's not as, it's what,
It is
0.7
driving
miles?
distance.
Yeah, it'd be about 16 blocks.
And it's a small store, but it still would give us an idea of what the status is. I'm going to vote to deny as well. I do have an issue, you know, I'm not convinced that this area is saturated, but I don't know that we have enough information. I think LT Liquor Store is clearly not open full-time. I don't know what's going on with them. They had, their sales are all over the place.
Do you know LT Liquor Store?
No, where are they located?
432 Riverdale Avenue?
That's on the other side.
Right. But it's, their sales are, you know, they go up, they're,
We're not targeting the same neighborhood.
no, I understand that, but it's still within 0.7 miles, so it is kind of, it is, you are going to affect them. But I do vote to deny. I just don't, at this time, think that there is enough need for this based on the 2 closest stores and their sales figures going down. The area, as was already stated, there is no development going on right now. If that changes, then perhaps there would be a need for another store. So I vote to deny as well.
1995, Willie D's Wine.
I'm sorry, Jackie.
1995.
For the applicant, Michael Riley, beside me is Michael Iannacone, the sole shareholder, director, is that correct? Yes.
I'm sorry.
I've submitted to the
1995.
board my statement along with supplemental exhibits. At the time that I did email this, I did not receive back the FOIL responses. I did receive them that afternoon later on. I have the FOIL responses in front of me, and it appears that Willow Wine and Liquor has gone up since the date it started. It went from 342, it looks like, to as last year's 422,000. Then we have,
No, it went from 435 to 422.
no, talking from the first.
Well, we take, yeah, but there's trends. We go, what were the sales in 2012? What were they in 13? What were they in 14? You just jumped from 12 to 14.
Whatever. Okay. From 2012, it went from it looks like 342. or
Yes, 342.
Then it went to 435, and then 422.
Correct.
So they're pretty much within $10,000 difference. Then we have Liquor and Wine Warehouse, which has gone up. Would that be agreed since the day it went into
Yes.
business?
Yes.
Thank you. Then we have Karma Liquors, that also has been pretty much about the same within $10,000 range. Would that be correct?
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
Which would be flat.
Well, hasn't really, within $10,000. The other one is Bronx Cheers, which only has this year up to, it's a new store, it states.
Which is really the argument here. We just did a store within a quarter mile or just under half a mile away from this location. A big store. 3,600 square feet. So what is he bringing to the table that these two stores, you know, the other store that's closest is 5,600 square feet. So that you have 9,000 square feet of liquor store without his store. And he wants to add, how many square feet? 1,600. So almost 11, 10,600. So what's he bringing? Okay.
I do it. I've lived in the neighborhood for over 30 years, me and my family have lived there. I just want to say, in that area, it's upcoming. The population has grown at least 3%. The population has tripled in the last probably 15 years. In that specific location.
Population has tripled?
It went from about 10,000 to about 25,000. So, a lot of single-family residents are now renting their apartments out, and, it's a lot more household. Anyway, in that area, there's a nail salon next door. There is a bus station across the street. There are 2 medical office buildings that have come in the last 5 years. There was an empty lot across the street that is now building. They already built 2 3-family homes and are projected to build another 2. We're walking distance from a hospital. There are 2 high-rises within a half a block that offer, convenience for them. If they want to come and have a bottle and go home. There's also a pizza restaurant. There's a bar and restaurant down the block. There are 3 deli groceries.
I'm sorry, is the hospital you're referring to Westchester Square?
No, it's Albert Einstein. Now, the liquor store that had just opened, they don't even have a hookup for Con Ed. There's been a lot of complaints about the neighborhood.
What do you mean they don't have a hook? They don't have electricity?
They've been, actually, that's Carmel?
No, it's the
Bronx Cheers?
Bronx Cheers, that's someone outside.
They have if you Google it, they have people, a security guard at night that's camping out to watch the store.
It's actually all over the internet. When I was looking up Morris Park background, it's there. It said that the people in the neighborhood were really disgusted with it. At the time, it had a generator and did not have a hookup, and people in the neighborhood were voicing major concerns about saying. There'll actually be a picture of a tent in front of the store. Has it been brought up, Ms. O'Brien?
I'm trying right now.
It's quite a long.
But they're open during the day with no electricity?
They're open during the day, but at night they're not.
Yes, I see the article.
Nothing offered like cold, go in there. Very impersonable, they,
So no one goes to buy white wine on the run there?
if you walk in the store, I've heard from my friends that.
Well, it doesn't say, I'm sorry, it doesn't say that there's no electricity there. It just says that there's a man camped out there from 10:30 to 6:30 as an unconventional alarm system, and that he's there just to make sure the place doesn't get robbed.
But also I read in that same article or another one that accompanied it with regards to them not having electricity.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's the only reason you would have the guard out front, right?
It's an eyesore for the community. I mean, this is a community that, based on the averages of people's incomes, it's a pretty well-rounded community, and, something like that is just appalling, to be honest.
What's been the population increase in the past 5 years?
In the Bronx or Morris Park?
Morris Park.
Morris Park, I have one indication that it was 1 in 15,000, and then I have another indication from Wikipedia that says it's 25,000. Also, the Bronx from 1990 to 2011.
I only care about this local area.
Yes.
Not the entire population.
That's my research. It was first indicated at 15, and then it said 25,000. And this is an area of 0.347 miles. That's a lot of people in a small area. Also, my client had spoke about the gentrification of the abandoned parking lot that's going into 3-family homes. There's 2 ready. There's going to be 2 more. And what else has been changing in the neighborhood?
Throughout the neighborhood, there has been, basically, you pay for convenience. So everyone's going to these local establishments more than going to these superstores in a sense, because, it costs money also to get in your car, drive, pay for parking in some of these parking lots. And, people are looking more for a convenient way to get any of their items or day-to-day supplies.
And again, this is the Bronx where most people commute via public transportation. I've also stated the different types and methods of transportation. Obviously less than Long Island that they use cars. And I also stated that, again, there's actually statistics that there's 0.8 of cars per household.
The city allowed a store.
How much of your store is going to be retail space?
About 750.
Third World Refugee Camp.
What about the items you're gonna sell?
Some items I'm looking to get into is an organic line. I feel like that's up and coming, and a lot of people in the area are very health conscious and are looking for a way to
So you're looking at census data.
save and
Bronx?
get a little healthier any way they possibly can. So that's something I would look into. Also, I would look to offer, maybe a little more than the average amount for a bottle of wine.
Park New York population?
In the area, people like spending money on luxury items.
40,051.
Are these, is Liquor and Wine Warehouse in a shopping plaza?
It's in a shopping strip, yes. That's the easiest way to say it. Yeah.
So there's parking and it's set back?
Parking, but they're also with a pet bar, a Subway.
Right, okay, so it's set back off the street? Yes. And what about Bronx Cheers, is that?
Bronx Cheers is just on Mars Hall. With the shopping center, with people who are, maybe irrelevant, but a lot of my friends, even though the figures are high, a lot of people don't like to go there because there are people begging for money outside. Because of Pathmark, you have people coming in and handing bottles, and it's just.
Right. Do you have any parking, or is it on street parking?
It's on the street parking, but because there's no actual housing besides the two high-rises, you have a lot of people going in and out all day because of the medical building.
How, are those high-rises residential, or are they, and how high? Like over 20, or?
No, I would say maybe about, 8 to 12 stories. And again, everything that's been in that area has been there since I'm a child.
Mm-hmm.
I've been in the neighborhood since 3 years old. There is a laundromat, there's a cafe, like I said, there's a bar and restaurant down the block. This is somewhere where it's high density, high population.
When I Google the population of Morris Park, it comes out as 10,000.
I did that as well, but I looked up what's PD, which I put as one of my exhibits, and that's why I stated it was as Exhibit I. It said 25,000, but I also put as Exhibit A what I had found out with regards to the population from the census. What I had stated before was 15 rather than 25. I apologize, 10 rather than 25. This is on Exhibit A, which says 10,289, but on Exhibit I with PD it says 25,000. My client lives there, lived there for 30 years. He tells me that the population is nowhere near 10,000.
Everybody is residential situation with most people there. Now, unfortunately, due to higher mortgages and stuff,
Here?
interest rates.
That's the zip codes.
People
That's
subletting
the zip codes. It says 29,000.
basement apartments.
Oh, no, there it is. It's that population density I was looking at.
That's causing, so the census may not be 100%. So the facts are facts, and we're only dealing with the situation that we have. Just like you would take that into consideration. Being in the neighborhood for so many years, I would love to serve my community, and I grew up in the area where, we knew everybody. You could walk down the street without saying.
Your wife is not going to be on the license?
My wife is not going to be on the license.
Is there a reason for that? You're putting in money from your joint account, right?
Yes. Right now, we have a small child who will be starting school soon. And, she's just taking a back seat just to help raise the children while.
But she's going to be working there.
She's will be working there from time to time.
So it's operate the business daily from opening until 3 p.m.?
Yes.
That's not time to time though, right? Daily is every day.
Well, I understand that, but it's, it's just a matter of, it's like a part-time shift more or less, nonetheless, because, let's say if the store opens by 10, 11, she'll be gone by 3,
So it's a 5-hour shift.
Yeah, so it's not a full-time position.
Also, what I was referring to is, again, Exhibit I, the demographics, that Morris Park has a population of over 25,000. So I put both before the board. Since I don't live there, my client does, and he says that it's way more than 10,000. So I put both before the board. Not trying to,
All right, so, we just licensed Bronx Cheers 3,600 square feet within 0.4 miles from where you are in March. The closest store has had steadily increasing sales, close to 5 million, so it's robust activity there. We also issued a license about 3 years ago, 3.5 years ago, on East Tremont Avenue.
that would be Willow Wine?
Yes, Willow Wine. So, given that this is what's your square selling space going to be? 750. Given that the total area is 1,600 and selling space is going to be at 750, I'll approve this application.
I'll approve as well. I mean, I think there is a large store very close to you, but I actually agree with you. I think that people may shy away from a larger store and rather go into a neighborhood store. Your store is clearly going to be that, a neighborhood store. The sales nearby, while we don't have any on Bronx Cheers, the other 2 stores that are closest to you are both doing very well. Your store is going to be relatively small in comparison to who's close to you, so you're going to find out if you can sink or swim. So good luck.
Good luck.
Thank you very much. Thank you to the board. If you email me, I will send you
No, you will not.
Thank you.
They'll send you a nice gift. I said, no, you will not.
See, that's the problem with Williamsbridge, right there.
Just a smile and walking away.
There's no gift.
Run a good business.
Just good luck and be successful. Create jobs for New York.
1950, Ron Chen Liquors.
Good afternoon. My name is Jerome Sussman. I represent the licensee here.
Okay, so why is your offer so low? Based on our guidelines, this would be a $5,000
2,500.
each, right? 2,500 each.
There you go. Or, I thought it was a sale and consumption on the same day.
No, it's
My
same,
apologies.
twice, same violation.
This is the first, these 2 violations are the first. Since this licensee has been licensed.
Well, I just have one question. Was he made aware of the November 4th violation before the November 2nd violation before the November 4th violation?
Definitely not.
Probably not. All right.
All right.
All right, so I'll do 2,500 counter.
I'll counter 2,500 as well.
I just came down from 5. All right.
2013 C, Lucky Star Liquors.
Same guy.
I'm sorry, C?
C.
Did you just say same guy, meaning yourself or the licensee? You said same guy?
Me.
Me, okay, just checking.
I haven't changed all morning.
Okay.
So this is the 3rd prohibited hours sale.
That's correct.
When are they going to get the message that hours are set and they can't sell beyond those hours?
It's almost 3 years. It's actually 3 years since the last one. I've spoken to these people. I have given them a blown-up sheet of hours. I have discussed it at great length. They have also told me that they have a customer to buy this place, so they're going out of this business. So
And they also had a sale to minor, second sale to minor, and 18 years old. Be nice if they could put that there. I had to look for it, but
No, that's how it was entered in the system.
Oh.
It should be changed.
that's council's office. If they can just write 18 years on top, on the
That's
front
mine.
cover page would be helpful. But, okay, so my thing is third prohibited hours, second sales to minor, I have 7,500.
Okay, since,
I actually had 9,000.
Oh. 8,000?
What's the difference?
8,000?
10-day suspension.
No, 8,000?
I mean, the reason mine is that high is because both of these violations, one, they went to hearing on them, which they obviously have a right to do, but there's a cost to that. And two, this is the third violation for prohibitive hours, which they're clearly not getting a message. I don't care if it was 3 years ago. You're in this business. You sat here and watched me deny how many liquor licenses. People are lining up for these things. And the next time he's in here, he's gonna lose his.
he's not gonna be back
So 80,
because he's.
what would you say?
they're
I
supposed
said
to be in my
7,500, you
office
said
on
9,000,
Thursday
so
to work
8,000,
on
8,500
the
either.
seal.
Okay, so we're gonna split the difference and do 8,000.
I was gonna suggest 1,500, that was the difference between the two.
8,000.
8,000. Thank you.
Thank you. You too.
1992, Priscilla Wine and Liquors.
I'll try to the closest five had no response here. We got no responses from 2 of the 5.
We used to do a second.
After. But then it's hard to, yeah.
It's hard to do that.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
guys can put your name on the record.
Yeah, that's true. We don't want to hold it up.
Ashley
So
Dumas,
it's balancing act.
Okay, got it.
representing Galaxy Discount Liquors. We're here to protest this application.
Oh.
And my name is Marita Reyes. I have a liquor store on Glenwood Road, Chubito and Caritas Liquors Incorporated. And that store is right on top of us.
Okay. Are they here? Is the store here?
It's,
No, doesn't appear that.
Is Priscilla Wine and Liquor Corp here?
I must have signed it because you called it, right?
Because the protesters signed in.
Oh, the opposition signed it.
No, he's not.
This would be interesting. How do you do that?
You wanna-
Yeah.
you need it? Yes,
Okay,
tonight.
hold on.
It's
All
been
right.
called, right?
Go ahead, tell us why they shouldn't be here.
I also have with me Mr. Chen, who owns the closest liquor store, which is Galaxy Discount Liquor.
He's your client?
He is our
Okay.
client. And I have a petition signed by the two principals with me, as well as the third closest liquor store, if you'd like me to submit that now, or if you want me to wait.
I'll take it now.
Is this something you submitted earlier, or?
No, there's nothing
I just
submitted.
received that today.
Okay. And
It's just from the owners of liquor store, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
and then this is a letter signed by Mr. Chen of Galaxy Discount, if you'd like that as well.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Kim, and members of the authority. My name is Ashley Dumas. As I said, I'm from Hellborn, Levy, and O'Donoghue. I'm here today representing our client, Galaxy Discount Liquor, in protest of the new package store application for Priscilla Wine and Liquor Corporation. This proposed location is approximately 500 feet away from our client on the same block, not a different street, not in a different neighborhood, but physically on the same block, same street, same neighborhood. Our client was recently approved by the board to open a new package store at 1428 Rockaway Parkway and just opened 18 months ago. Even in an area of extreme population density and incredible development, this distance is simply too close. And this particular location doesn't possess either of these. Opening a package store literally on the same block as one that just opened 18 months ago just cannot serve the public convenience and advantage of this community. This is Canarsie, Brooklyn, a neighborhood that has been defined by its high crime and vacant storefronts. With retail fronts so few and far between in this neighborhood, it's hard to believe that the folks who live here would prefer to have a new liquor store essentially just little more than 500 feet away from another on the same street. Further, if you look at the gross sales numbers, you'll find that for our client, they're quite modest, as is the size of his store. And the second closest store, Tweeto, also posts very modest numbers and is on the smaller side. Beyond these two mom and pop stores, which again are the two closest stores, the next two closest are good distances away. However, they're both warehouse style stores and post significant numbers as well as increases each year over year. This has been a major problem for the mom and pop stores in this area. People in this neighborhood where disposable income numbers are relatively low seem to prefer to take the trip to the larger warehouse stores for the better deal on product. Our client simply is having difficulty competing there, and it would be hard to fathom that this new applicant will be able to either. It would be more likely that if this license is granted, our applicant, as well as our client, would both be out of business shortly, and there really is just not enough business to go around for these two store owners I have with me today. Therefore, we request that you deny this application as it's on the same block, less than 500 feet away, in a neighborhood that is not significantly growing, with warehouse-style stores so close by.
Are you familiar with the area where the store's proposed?
I've never visited it
Well,
personally.
I have a map that they submitted. Can you point, because I don't see your client's store right across the street, but I see Priscilla Wine and Liquors nearby. Can you
It
look at?
used to be an OTB parlor. It's right next to the firehouse.
So that's the proposed premises.
Oh, her client, I'm
Priscilla is right next to the firehouse, Mr. Chairman.
And where's your client's premises?
And then our client is.
Can you just look on this and show me?
Is this the office? Can I bring Mr. Chen?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So that's the proposed.
This is the proposed, and Mr. Chen, you said you're in this area here. So he is in this area.
So he's that close to Priscilla?
Yes.
Okay.
Approximately 528 feet per Google Maps is.
One block over? One block?
Priscilla is, I see, that's not, they're not on the map, I see. what-
So I
I'm
don't
mis-
have, I don't
I'm
have to,
misjudging the map.
I don't have
Okay.
to cross the street to get to your store? It's on the same physical block?
No, you do.
Diagonally
Here.
across the street on Rockaway.
This is the proposed premises.
okay.
This is where he is.
Right, right, so it's
around
diagonally across.
there. Right like that.
Okay.
And how big is the parkway? Is that, how many lanes? Two on each side?
One road.
It's one road.
No, I know, they're, it's
I believe it's one lane.
one lane on each side, okay.
And then also, just as an aside, this isn't a public convenience and advantage argument, but we also have a picture of the notice posting, and the applicant checked on premises retail application as opposed to liquor store application. If you'd like a copy of that photo, also happy to submit that as well.
Okay. I hate Bing.
Did we get anything from Arnona?
I'll check that in 1 second.
Unknown, no, she's checking something.
Arnona's new owner is an Indian lady. I'll give you some background. And she is on maternity leave right now. So her store's not doing well because she is not present.
Is it open?
She has to take care of her baby.
But it's open.
Yeah, but if you go in there, it's like going into a wasteland. There are hardly any bottles. And the store is humongous. The store is as big as this room right here.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very sad. I'm happy for her. She had her baby, but
I am too.
bad situation.
Okay.
All right, Ruby?
Yep.
That's fine. So this applicant is 500 feet or less than 500 feet away from Galaxy, and you have declining sales with Galaxy and also Chuito in the past couple of years. Just don't think that there's any public convenience or advantage by adding this store at this time, so I vote to deny.
I vote to deny as well, and not just have the sales declined, but they've in both stores, both closest stores have declined significantly since 2000, at least for Chuito, since 2012, and they've gone down over 100,000 for Galaxy. So I vote to deny as well. I don't see any public convenience or advantage.
2013 request for declaratory ruling for the property located at 472 Franklin Ave.
You hold on one second, I'm sorry. Are you good with this?
Yeah.
All right. I approve.
I approve.
Well, since it's a declaratory ruling, can you say exactly what it is that you're finding?
The premises is licensed to be in existence prior to the church, so therefore the 200-foot rule does not apply.
Agreed.
Law, 200-foot law.
Oh, that would be nice.
There's only one person who'll be upset if you say it.
1953, Rachel on 9th.
Oh,
You could call it rule rather than law.
1993.
1983, Jack?
1953.
1953, we all got wrong numbers.
My name is George Carp, I represent
You okay there?
I of the decision of Administrative Law Diallo. And I'm not really disputing the testimony, but I do think there are questions of law that the judge just totally avoided addressing.
Well, why don't we, they're going to end up being addressed in Article 78, so I'm not going to argue the law with you because I don't agree with you. So my problem here is that he had the same charge in 2014. I should say, and, oh, I'm sorry. Is that a first charge earlier? A later charge. So he clearly didn't fix it.
Well,
But he didn't know,
I may
I guess.
say, the one charge involved a security company that he hired, and they sent someone down who they indicated to me in a letter that told him that he wasn't licensed, he was waiting for his license to come in for a renewal. The one before us now is not a security guard from a company, but an employee.
Who believes he's not a security guard.
Well, who works as a bartender, as a busboy and a barman.
No, I understand your argument. I don't, as I said, I don't agree with it. So I'm going to impose $2,000 and sustain both charges.
I agree.
I also have what I think.
Which is?
You have 1942 G cubed.
I sent a letter to the board when I noticed by accident that this matter for you today, G-Cube Corp, was on the calendar. I received no notice of it. My client said he received no notice of it. But the fact of, and I explained in my letter, was that the renewal was sent out on May 20th with a waiver from the community board, which was attached. When I got the notice of deficiency on May 28th, I called the next morning and learned that it was included in the paperwork. By 1 o'clock that day, it was licensed without my sending it anything. So it was there.
Mr. Karp, what we do is we take the waiver so that we don't hold the licensee up from being able to open. So it allows us to open it, but it doesn't take away the charge that they failed to wait the 30 days from the time they notified the community board till the time they filed. So that's the violation, but we'll issue the license with the waiver.
The waiver has no legal effect on the violation.
Right. We just didn't want to hold them up from being able to open and operate.
So they can, and they will waive it, but it really has no bearing on whether there's the violation still occurs. So it's, so I mean, it was a default. I'll allow it to be reopened, but there's not really anywhere to go.
What was a $1,000 fine?
I agree, $1,000.
.2013 P, Trios Cafe and Lounge.
Good afternoon again.
I thought your offer was low, Mr. Palula.
Quick look.
Obviously. If prohibited hours in June and then again in November.
Prohibited hours with 10 minutes and 15 minutes.
We have at 4:45 and at 4:40.
Thanks.
It's not a 6 o'clock in the morning place.
It's a 4:45 and a 4:40.
Offer of 6,500, I'll accept it.
I accept as well.
2013A and B, NYC JBs.
Good afternoon, Terrence Flynn on behalf of the licensee. There's no comments and no charges.
But the offer was low.
Mr. Flynn, what's the food situation?
There is food there, if that's what you're asking.
Can you elaborate on that sentence?
I don't know what they're doing. I know there's food there. I know they put it in. I also know that the premise is under a contract of sale to be sold, that the buyers have already gone to the community board 3, and that the application, if it hasn't been made, will be made shortly.
What kind of a business is the buyer? What kind of business is the buyer?
I didn't even handle the contract, Commissioner, so I couldn't tell you what it is.
So you don't know how the community board and the Lower East Side dwellers are responding to this sale?
My understanding was they went to the community board and there was not a problem at the community board. That's what I was told by my client. Possibly because it's a different operation, but again, I wasn't even at that community board.
So, but they're operating right now, right?
That's correct.
And they're not doing live band performances anymore?
Yes, they are operating per their agreement with the community board.
Okay, all right, I'll accept the offer totally.
I'll accept the offer.
2013O, Steeplechase. You have that one too. You want that one next? Steeplechase is his. Okay, so 2,000.
Both stand together and just go back and forth.
Item 2,000.
2,000. Amazura.
This was a default. There was a request for reconsideration. Brought up to vacate the default. I can say that I've represented this client since they've been in business. They have always provided me with charges when they've gotten them. We've responded to everything in the past. I checked on the mailing. The mailing wasn't delivered to the establishment, and my client tells me that the mailing that was sent to him, which was not done by certified mail, he never received it.
Yeah,
I'll grant it.
I grant to reopen as well.
But what is the penalty that you're
I mean, that's what
looking
I don't
for?
understand.
Right.
Where do you think you're going with this?
I'm looking for an opportunity just to resolve it without cancellation, to be honest.
Well, good luck.
At least I will have that. Thank you very much.
Okay.
You don't have to convince me of that. Somebody else you have to convince first.
2013O, Steeplechase.
Should be a tavern license. I have an OP, but it doesn't seem
OP
like.
can be, that doesn't distinguish it. It's what they say they're going to be, and I can tell you that, whether it be a bar or a restaurant.
I accept the 4,500.
Everything is corrected?
Yes.
I accept.
Thank you. Have a good 2 weeks.
Me too.
1 week.
2013M, Aiden Express.
20, what? 13M? 13M. Maybe do 2,000. I'm okay with this, are you okay? of an issue?
But we sent, if this would be sent back to you if it gets,
Yeah, the application isn't before you. Oh, wait, no, the application was originally before
It's a
you.
deny.
But Chairman, I don't know, were you on the board then?
this was, if
So
you're
this-
okay with it, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I'm okay with it. All right.
No.
Debated that.
Hold 1 second.
Yeah.
1 second, please. 1 second.
The chairman wasn't on the
Counsel,
board.
do you have an
It
issue
was-
with this?
Didn't get to review the application.
Right, no, I know that.
So,
So we would have to vote on the application again?
yeah, you would have, this is voting to,
We're open, right?
yeah, and you've got the application.
Right, no, I've reviewed it all, I just didn't know what we were doing with it. Okay.
We're just considering the reconsideration.
You can.
No, and you already denied it.
If you grant reconsideration, you can now act on it because.
You can
the
act
full
on
board
it.
denied
I don't have a problem. It's just mistakes.
Yeah, it was just mistakes, so that was okay to.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can do the full gambit here.
So,
You'd have to do grant reconsideration first. then-
okay, first I'll grant the reconsideration based on Mr. Alnwick's statements submitted to us, citing the errors that had occurred, and then what?
You can act on the application.
Okay, and then I'll approve the application.
I'll do the same. The only thing I want to add is that you were a two-time licensee. So the one thing that I think that you probably have recognized is that accuracy is a premium here going forward. So I'll grant the reopening and approve the license, but you have to, I realize you're giving it to a representative, but at the end of the day, you're signing it. So it better be correct.
$1994, Lagos.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Mr. Allenwick, the refund was issued, so we'll need the fees replaced before we can go ahead and, okay.
Yeah, 1994.
We had Community Board 18 opposes. Anyone here from Community Board 18? No? Okay.
I think we've addressed, their main concern when we went there was always complaints from before. We put a lot of time and effort into installing soundproofing, and I provided receipts for that.
That was the one question I have. And I guess this goes back to my accounting days. She's got total cash of $228. She's got $15,000 loan.
This is after the fact.
And that's after the soundproofing or before?
That's before the soundproofing.
So that's what I'm saying. The soundproofing had to be several $1,000s. My question is, how is she doing this with that amount of money?
We have to update the,
Well, I don't know. If there's more money, yes. And the loan, who's the loan from?
well, the loan is from her father. We provided that, $15,000.
Okay.
I guess it's $10,000 purchase price. Then the soundproofing came in, so I guess it doesn't include the soundproofing.
So there's another 10,000 on top of the 15,000 she's got invested. So there's 25,000. Where'd the other 10 come from? Her father as well? Okay.
I have a letter from the soundproofing company also.
No, I see. I'm not questioning whether there was
You
soundproofing.
have no connection to 9JA Villa Inc.? Do you know them? All right. What about the two residents who live right above this venue? Did you reach out to them at all?
Yeah, I didn't know if they were in the same building. I don't know.
It says that there are two residential units, I believe, above this venue.
The people came to the community board were like across the street.
Yeah, no, but there's, where she's housed, there are two apartments above where she's going to go. He just wants to know if you spoke to them at all.
I think our concern was the loud noise.
Right.
That was taken care of. We don't have no DJs, no light bar.
Okay, so that's the other question I had. You indicate in well, you indicate in your method of operation that there will be live and recorded music, including a DJ, but the application does not indicate there'll be a DJ or live music, so which is it?
So we filed it, so the community board notification had all three.
Right.
And we filed it with just recorded music.
Okay, and that's all it's going to be?
We updated it. But we'll amend that to just recorded music.
Okay, because that was my problem with it.
No live music,
I'll put that, I'll put that on the.
no DJ.
Your menu is very extensive.
There's not going to be any promoters. They have like two 12-inch speakers.
Okay.
And
I'll put all that on the certificate.
So this is a restaurant?
it's a restaurant.
Yes.
Okay.
This is a very
The hours
large,
again?
expensive menu.
What are the hours?
We amended the menu last week. So it's a little bit more.
4 p.m. to when? What are the hours?
I think on there we have 4 a.m. So in my letter, my clients are willing to go to 3 during the week. 3 on Friday and Saturday.
So what happened at the community board meeting?
When I suggested that, they just
Well, I mean, but what they wrote strongly opposes. Had you already done the soundproofing at that point when you went to them? No, but you offered to. And they didn't want that.
They said no amount of soundproofing would fix it, and the hours wouldn't matter unless you closed at 8 o'clock at night. So,
Okay.
I understand that, to me, I'm sure I wouldn't be happy, but we think we've addressed everything, and there's no connection. There's an assumption that there's a connection, so there's nothing.
Why are they assuming there's a connection, do you think?
Probably because it's the same country.
I'm sorry, on the menu, so you drastically changed this menu. This was from a Chilean sea bass and all different types of fish to now you're at mac and cheese and chicken wings and Three Little Pigs. So that's a whole concept change.
I think to start, I suggested to them it was too expensive before.
Oh, it was a very extensive and very,
The desserts.
and now it says kitchen, bar, lounge. It doesn't say restaurant. On the top of the menu, kitchen, bar, lounge. So is it a lounge or is it a restaurant?
Eel salad, $19.
I mean, you had lobster, bluefin
No,
tuna.
that's not it. This is the new one. That's the new menu.
Had burrata, mozzarella, you had bouillabaisse, and now you're at chicken wings. Big difference between bouillabaisse and chicken wings.
It'll be a restaurant.
Okay.
Why did you change the menu so drastically?
They just gave that to me, it's probably too drastic a change, but the other one was just it was 4 pages, it was way too
Okay.
It's unrealistic.
unrealistic, reasonable, so maybe they went a little too reasonable, it'll be a restaurant.
Can you, when you figure out the menu,
Yeah, we'll send it.
I'll make a new menu a condition of approval, how's that? If they approve.
And you're gonna resign from your current employment, right? No hookah available, right?
No
Okay. I approve based on those conditions.
I approve as well.
Not a 500.
A new menu, no DJ, no live music.
And it's not a 500-foot case. So.
And it's not 500 foot.
(1964) 129 Lexington Street.
1964. I'm okay with this. You okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Conditional no contest plea, what I have here is a penalty for $3,000.
I accept.
My only question is, has everything been cured? We have the signs up, we have the licensed security guards, and we have,
That we're working on right now. The licensee's going through a rough patch in that he got hit with the task force and then he got hit with another task force, so we're working all that out. And,
oh, there's another case coming?
no, this is the second one.
Okay.
They were months apart, and he has an application.
Because the one thing I'm going to have a problem with, particularly the signs, is if I see the signs and this guy come back again, there's going to be a problem.
Right, well, the sign in this instance, there was a dollar bill taped to it, so, I mean,
Well, that's what I mean. It's so easy to solve, And if it doesn't get solved, it's basically somebody coming in and not.
This is rough patch. He's
Okay.
consumed with another project, and I'm gonna get him straightened out. He's
Okay.
coming up to pay, and I'll-
So that's acceptable.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Who's that? Ooh, let's see what he wrote.
Okay, all right, I'll get him.
Population is decreasing.
That's the difference. I don't even care.
Thanks, Tom.
We'll shred it on video. Thank you.
Bye, Tom.
Are we continuing?
Yes. Unless somebody can't.
No, let's try it.
Try.
Just give me 1 second.
See how fast we can go.
Okay. 1921.
I'm sorry to cause issues, but the charge number 1 should have been pre-mixing rather than refilling.
Okay.
So I'll move to amend.
Okay.
Does the language in the text of the chart of the pleading going to change, or is it just the labeling?
The labels affixed to, just just the agenda sheet.
All right, so I'll change it in council screen.
That's fine then.
Okay.
I have 3,500.
3,500.
1922.
Letter of warning.
Okay. Letter of warning.
1923.
3,000.
3,000.
1924.
Offer of 750, accept.
750.
1925.
Cancel and bond, they're closed, right? No taxes.
They're expired.
Yeah, cancel and bond.
Cancel and bond.
1926,
And 41, right?
if you want to.
Yes.
Yeah, so I have 26, I have cancel and bond. 41, I had accept the 5,000.
They're not, though.
That's why I
Really
did
think
them
you're gonna get them to
together.
pay?
I know, but just do it together as a cancel and bond?
Yeah, I did.
Well, then the
Well, it's a conditional no
counteroffer.
contest, so you have to,
Oh.
you can accept their 5,000, and if they
all
don't
right,
pay, it's
so I'll
canceled.
accept that.
I accept the 5,000, and then on the other one is a default.
Yeah,
So I have cancel and bond.
I'm sorry, what's the third one?
The second
No,
one. there's
second
two.
one is 1926 is a default.
And 1941.
And 1941 is a conditional no
And if they
contest.
don't pay, it's going to convert to a cancel bond anyway, so
But even if they pay it, then what?
they're not going to pay when they get a letter saying you're canceled, and
Oh,
the cancellation is going to go into effect before the money's due.
I understand that, but what are we doing with then 26? We just leave it open, or?
Canceled for the record for non-payment. She'll impose the alternate penalty, right?
Well,
26, you're then, it's a default, you just impose cancel and bond.
yeah, just
Okay.
impose it.
That's what we said. All right, 5,000 and then cancel and bond.
did they restore this bond for the next one?
No, they won't be. Oh,
Yeah.
this one, I'm sorry. 1927?
Yeah, if it's restored, then it's 500. If not, it's cancel and bond.
Correct.
They have not.
Yeah, I have that it's out of business, right?
The license is in safekeeping.
Safekeeping.
Oh, okay. So I have
Not
the same
operating.
thing.
Cancel and bond.
Cancel and bond.
Just cancel, there's no bond.
Cancel.
1928.
So if they didn't restore, cancel and bond.
Yep.
No bond.
Cancel.
No bond.
1930.
This is if they didn't cancel. They didn't pay, right?
They didn't, yeah, these are all defaults for
All right,
Cancel.
cancel.
1931,
500.
500.
1932.
Did they restore the bond?
This is a renewal case, that just that the violation occurred during an unlicensed portion.
So 500.
500.
1933.
I was torn. I had a very high fine or cancel and bond because this is the third time they've permitted dancing in 9 months.
I do, I have the same thing. I have 8,500 or cancel and bond.
Yeah, at 10,000 or cancel.
All right, we'll go 10,000.
Counteroffer, 10,000.
Yes, please.
1934.
I had here there's a check the law as to the burden of unlicensed security guards. Is it on the security company or is it on the licensee?
The licensee.
It's the licensee, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
they're the one with the
so-
license.
2,500?
Dismissing charge 1.
Dismiss
dismiss
charge
charge one.
and sustain 2,
2,500.
2,500.
1935 and 36.
I have an issue with this decision because, number 1, factually, under charge 1, I don't understand what happened at all. We start out with some people, and then some people are identified as other things, and then there's another man, a Mr. Chen, who suddenly appears and does something. I factually could not follow it. Besides, I don't know if it's appropriate for the ALJ to be writing 3/4 of a page about how reprehensible the licensee's actions are. That's a side issue. My real legal issue is factually, I don't think this is coherent, or at least I couldn't follow it. I don't know if you could.
I didn't have a problem with it.
I did the best I could. It was a little confusing, but
I think the editorial she's putting in there, I think, was more how incredible she found the witness, which I don't have a problem with either. If that was the case, I obviously didn't see the person testify.
Well, I mean, her commentary is about how horrible it is to block the exit.
I would sustain the charges and impose 4,000.
Yeah, I'll sustain the charges, 4,000.
1937.
For 5,500, accept.
Accept.
1938.
I had a counter of 7,500.
Counter 7,500.
1939 and 40.
Offer of 2,500, accept.
Accept.
1943.
Let's see, fine just the night before, but I guess, and the bartender was cited for it, so they were on notice and they continued to do this. So I had somewhere between 10 and 12,000.
Yeah, they paid 2,000 to the city.
And now they're actually consenting to warrantless searches. But what'd you have, 10,000?
Yeah.
10,000, counteroffer.
$1944.
Okay, this is the one where my father actually owned like a percent of this company up till early 2014, and they're totally divested in, I believe, spring of 2014, early 2014. So I would recuse myself normally, but because we only have two of us, I'll let the chairman vote first, and then because we're only dealing with the failure to display licenses and post warning signs, if we dismiss charge one, then I'll go along with what he says, because there's no other way to get around this, right?
Okay, so I'll dismiss the charge one, which was dismissed by the ALJ, sustain charges 2, 3, and 4, 2,500.
I agree.
1945.
Offer of 8,000, accept.
Accept.
1946.
Offer of 1,500, accept.
Accept.
1947.
Offer of 5,000, accept.
Accept.
1948.
Offer 1,000, accept.
Accept.
1949.
I had 2,000. Charge one is sustained, charge two is dismissed. I'm sorry, the other way around. Charge two is sustained, charge one is dismissed. What did you have?
I had 1,000, just because I thought that the licensee's response was consistent.
But so does that mean that you're not adopting the ALJ?
No, I just think that I'm mitigating it.
It was consistent, but they did say they did on occasion sell the
Yes.
Pabst Blue Ribbon, so, I mean, I'm okay to go 1,000.
1,000.
1951.
License surrendered, cancel and bond.
Cancel and bond.
1952.
Offer of 1,000, accept.
Accept.
1954.
Offer of 3,000, accept.
Accept.
1955.
500,
Accept.
agree.
Oh, I'm sorry, 500, I agree.
Thank you. 1956.
1,500,
1,500.
1957.
offer of 2,000, accept.
Accept.
1958.
A revoke and bond, though, why was the other license revoked? That's my question.
One moment.
I have revoke and bond as well, but
Right, because he was prohibited.
One moment.
Minors.
Sales to minors, yeah.
yeah, I'm fine with that then.
1959,
Offer of 1,000, accept.
Accept.
1960,
Offer of 1,500, accept.
Accept.
1961,
Offer of 6,000, accept.
Is this, yeah, I accept.
1962,
Offer of 1,500, accept.
Accept.
63,
Offer of 1,500, accept.
Accept.
Offer
65,
of 2,000, accept.
Accept.
66,
Offer of letter of warning, accept.
Accept.
67,
Offer of 1,500, accept.
Accept.
68,
License surrendered already. Offer of CMB, accept. Cancel on bond.
Cancel and bond.
69,
Offer of 2,000, accept.
Accept.
1970,
Offer of 1,500, accept.
Accept.
1971,
Let's see, offer of 5,000, accept.
Accept.
1973 and 74,
Had charges 1, 5, and 6 in the first proceeding sustained. Charges in the second proceeding are sustained. Charges 2, 3, and 4 in the first proceeding are not sustained and dismissed. Charge 7 in the first proceeding is withdrawn. And I had cancel and bond.
Yeah, they already surrendered the license, Carrie?
correct.
Yeah, cancel and bond.
1975,
Offer of 1,000, accept.
Accept.
1976 and 77,
Offer of 14 days forthwith suspension, 3,500 penalty plus 1,000 bond claim, accept.
What? Well, I had a question here, bond claim, then,
Giving us 1,000 bond. Is that what it is?
yeah, is that it? We take 3,500 from them and they're giving us the 1,000 bond?
yeah, this is together with.
And then they have to rebond?
Yeah,
Okay.
if the
I
bonding
accept.
company pays.
Okay, I accept.
That's, yeah.
1979,
I had 6,000 actually counted, just because they asked if, how old they were, and they said, the person said, are you 19? And the underage said yes, and then they still sold it to them.
Okay, counter 6,000.
1980,
Offer of letter of warning, accept.
Accept.
1981,
Offer of 3,000, accept.
Accept.
1982,
Offer of 1,000, accept.
Accept.
1983,
Offer of 1,000, accept.
Accept.
84,
I had 8,500. They had no adverse, so I lowered it.
I don't know that they fixed the DBA, and it's unfortunate Mr. Alnwick didn't stay for this case.
What'd you have, 8,500?
Counter offer?
Counter 8,500.
8,500, okay. 1985,
I have deny.
I have deny as well.
some reason?
Applicant.
Canceled.
Previous license was canceled in November 2011 for availing and.
Selling
based on-
untaxed cigarettes.
Right, and based on the character and fitness,
Thank you.
deny.
1986,
Offer of 5,000, I'll accept.
Accept.
1989,
Offer of 2,500, they didn't put license in safekeeping, I'll accept.
Accept.
1993,
3,000.
I have 3,000.
1998,
I'll grant the reconsider.
Please, may I be heard?
Hold on, go ahead.
Okay. I disagree with the findings here. Not only was the certificate of authority issued, and I don't think it was overzealous enforcement, their contract of sale and the lease were also dated September of 2014, regardless of whether they're married or not. She's an undisclosed person who we didn't get to vet through the normal process. They can always reapply, get her fingerprints taken, and go from there.
Okay. So they just have to reapply.
Yes,
Okay.
because it was a full availing. She did have the contract of sale and lease in place in September of 2014.
Okay.
All right, I agree with that.
No reconsideration.
Yeah, deny.
2003,
Offer of 2,500, accept.
Accept.
2004,
Offer of 3,000, lower, but I'll accept it. 3,000.
They got the extension, you had lower?
They do have an adverse history.
Yeah, we're not going lower. 3,000 accept.
got a deal. 2005,
Offer of
I
5,500.
I thought this was low. The last time they ordered from a wholesaler was in 2011.
Yeah, I was actually thinking that myself. But he's not charged with that.
Yeah, that's the.
Well, they're charged with purchase from unauthorized source.
Right, but not,
Oh, so that's the.
So they've been,
That is a-
they haven't,
but only the recent
On or
one, no
before.
one.
but they made the statements that they had, or, I'm sorry,
Yeah,
not
no,
the
he's,
statements,
no,
we
he
got the
said
records.
2011, yeah.
Yeah, we got the records from the wholesalers, and it was 2011 and 2012. And I understand it's Jamestown, New York, but that's still a lot of booze.
Yeah, I don't want to bang the
Long
guy
time
down.
ago.
All right,
What do you think?
go ahead. No.
10,000?
Yeah, 10,000. Counteroffer, 10,000.
2007,
Offer of 3,000, accept.
Accept.
2008,
I was okay with the letter of warning.
I wasn't, just because I am familiar with this place.
Location?
Yeah, and,
They've been licensed, what, 70 years?
no, it's a country club.
Oh.
It's not a bar. It's a legitimate high-end country club that
This wedding sounded like a.
it must have been a complete melee. So I'm 2,500 I have as a
All right,
counteroffer.
I'll do 2,500. I mean, it's like WWF when you.
No, I know, and so it's obvious that they're not, I don't think their membership expects them to bring in wrestling matches, and that's apparently what happened here.
2009,
Offer 7,500 since this was a nuisance abatement. I'll accept.
Accept.
2010 and 11,
I have 3,500. I was lower because of the no adverse history for 16 years. I do sustain the charges though.
3,500.
Let me do 3,500 and, I'm sorry, 3,500 and 2,500, maybe that's
That's,
fine.
I had 5,000.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I was supposed to add the two charges, so 5,000, I'll do 5,000.
All right, 5,000. The charges are sustained.
2012,
Offer of 2,500, accept.
Accept.
on 2013D, I do have another request to adjourn from the attorney.
So 9.
Why?
Hang on a second, let me find out.
It doesn't matter. All right.
Let's see, I got it this morning, somebody's did something,
Okay, 9-9.
okay. Maybe asking for later, I'm just not sure, I just gotta find.
That's fine. You can put it later if
Whenever.
you need to.
Okay, we'll check. 2013F,
2013
What happened to 1869?
That's 2013F.
That's
Oh, okay.
2013
My
F.
bad. Okay.
Jackie,
I'm back 2 weeks.
notice to appear.
Yeah.
You were asked them to appear and they haven't.
Haven't? Well, they're not here, and we asked them to appear, and they pushed it over, right?
Bless you.
You held it over. They didn't show up the last time you held it over, and so Secretary's office sent them notice saying that you were requesting them to appear.
And then they still didn't
They didn't.
show up? All right.
And it's right near Albany, so it's not like, so denied.
PCNA?
Denied because there's another store a half mile away that was
Yes.
just issued in 2014, and it's a driving community.
Yeah, it's not public convenience and advantage.
And there's, yes, half a mile away, it's 11,000 square feet, then 1.3 mile away, there's a 37,500 square foot. I think within a 1.3 mile radius, 50,000 square feet of liquor being offered is enough in this community. So deny for public convenience and advantage.
All right, on 2013I, It was adjourned at the request of the attorney who offered the CNC, because he submitted it on the day of the hearing. He was on notice. I emailed him that it was adjourned to the 1st, and there has been also no alteration application filed.
Wait, I'm not following you there.
Okay.
He offered a CNC on the date of the hearing?
It came in, I believe the hearing was off-site. And
Yes,
then
the hearing
came in
was
on the
in
29th, the hearing was dated the 30th. So I think he made the assumption that it was going to be adjourned.
I'm sorry, the attorney who did the hearing was here. Was this hearing done in Nassau for the,
The Guido one?
yes,
Come up to the
No, it was done here.
It was done here?
yeah,
And
Come up to the mic.
Mike's case,
yes.
he just stepped in because he had to testify on it. So, and I think you have the pictures that he
It-
submitted.
He submitted a picture of what the outside looks like. They didn't file the alteration, they would,
So for those to get in, I just stepped in, so I put him on.
He put all these what side.
So I'm not following those. So this guy
to the
came in and
picture.
tried to give a CNC on the day before the hearing and then assumed the
Faxed
hearing
it
wasn't
in.
going forward?
that's what I was getting from Mr. Amaretto.
Okay.
But go ahead.
I don't recall that there
Okay.
was.
No, I'm not asking you, I'm asking her.
No, I know, but my understanding was there couldn't have been a CNC right before the hearing. I mean, maybe he
He
did.
faxed it.
We just didn't.
Yeah.
It just says
Okay.
It wasn't negotiated, but he just faxed one in.
Licensed, unlicensed. It's August of 2012. And
Yeah,
when
not
is
sure
this
what the-
violation?
Okay. So,
14, so that's still there?
and did we hear from them, Jackie, at all, or no?
No, he was emailed that it was adjourned to the 1st.
Okay, so it's a no contest.
Did they have an offer?
No, it's a default at
It's a
hearing.
default. You can do whatever you want with it.
Default.
Somewhere between 6,000 and 8,500 because of their good history, but it's like,
They filed the
There's been
alteration?
a
No,
long
it's not been,
history
it
of
hasn't been
them
filed.
not
So that should be part of the,
oh, really?
There was first
don't
somebody
think.
who was the
You'd think.
representative who didn't respond.
there's Mr.
Then there was
Amaretto.
another.
You should-
Thank you.
Whatever you do, you should also make it a requirement that they file the appropriate information.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, hi. Initially, the licensee was being represented by Tolodi and Associates. And I spent a great deal of time speaking with Linda Tolodi about the charges and their opposition, or they were contesting them initially. When she learned that we'd have to go to a hearing, she then told me that she wasn't going to be representing the licensee, and that the law offices of the Segley and Associates were going to substitute her. Segley and Associates called, asked for a second adjournment on the matter, and that was put over to June 30th. The day of that hearing, we received correspondence from David Gabay, who said that he was going to be representing the licensee, requested an adjournment, and at that time, the ALJ, who was assigned to the case, granted him the adjournment. So there have been several adjournments in connection with this matter. When it was on for the full board last, Mr. Gabay contacted the licensee, contacted the counsel's office, requested an adjournment, and he then forwarded an email to Jackie Held requesting an adjournment. The matter was then adjourned to today. So the licensee and the attorneys and the representatives involved have had a long-standing history of not showing up.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Well, that changes things.
What are you at?
A lot higher than where I was at.
Somebody asked him to shush.
10,000?
All right, all the charges are sustained, 10,000.
And also the fact that they have to do the alterations. That's a requirement as well.
Alteration have to be filed.
They have to give them the 30 days.
Well, you got to give them the
No, we
notice
don't have to
anyway,
give
so.
And you
I'm
can
not on
split that 10,000 among each charge if you, 2,500, 20, do you do that or no?
No.
Oh.
Sorry.
Well, it just does, then it doesn't look severe.
Well, it's only severe when they're ignoring.
No, I mean, if somebody, like, I didn't know what they did in Supreme Court, but if you look at just the extension, you got 10,000 on.
I was gonna give them a break for good.
2013L,
Offer 5,000, accept.
Except,
2013N,
This is already closed by the Department of Buildings.
N?
N.
Oh,
Are you
sorry,
talking?
sorry, that was the last one. N,
what's the name of this one?
United.
United Nightclub.
Oh,
It was
okay.
for them to must appear.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they didn't appear, huh?
No, Mr. Vidal was sent another email.
I was gonna Should I rule?
Yeah,
Sure.
we are ruling. This is the second time this is on, right?
Yes.
Second time it's on, it's a 500-foot hearing. The question, landlord had another cancellation at another location. The applicant has the same address as the landlord who had the license canceled elsewhere. There's protest letters from the city of Middleton. For all those reasons, I vote to deny.
I vote to deny too. It's the city of Middletown.
Middletown.
It is a 500-foot case. The applicant has no experience as an owner. The owner of the building does have experience, but had a club there in 2014, which we've canceled, and he actually showed up at the 500-foot hearing, and he shares the same address as the applicant. So I deny as well.
And 2013 Q.
I deny or disapprove this application. The manager had license canceled in March 2014. The Utica Police is also against this application.
You know what? I don't think we did give him notice, okay.
Hmm?
I just wasn't sure if we gave the guy, the gentleman notice. We did.
We did?
Yes.
He was
We sent an
notified.
email on the 24th.
Right, so, based on those reasons, I vote to.
Yeah, I deny as well for the same reasons.
No further items.
2013 P,
What is that?
trios?
We did that. We already did that.
Mr. Flynn's,
Oh, right, yes, I did
it's
do
just
that.
an extra piece dangling around.
Okay.